Look, everybody, I'm Marseille. It's a big pleasure for me to be appearing on the Bergkamp Wonderland podcast, the top podcast. And yes, enjoy, certainly.
Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. I'm Gimli, and tonight my guests are, first up, he's the man in charge of the knobs. It's Danny, the GFP.
Are they sparkly knobs?
No.
Have the knobs been touched by those twats at Shitterglitter who still haven't paid us?
No, I know. I want a bag of dicks.
Oh, at least we got something from those. Mouthful of lovely sweetness, which is lovely. You all right? You looking forward to Christmas?
Oh, I'm still recovering from my birthday, to be honest.
You go out and have a nice meal with the lovely Kate and had a little glass of champagne and then came home and watched a romantic film together?
No, I got really stoned and drunk at my mum's house.
You're a fucking shambles.
No, seriously, that sounds quite sad. But
it is.
Most people know that I live in Wales. My dear old mum lives in Oxford, so I went back to see my mum for my birthday and ended up getting quite drunk.
Were you sick?
No, I'm past that stage.
Are you?
I'm not a youngster anymore.
And how was the drive home the next day?
Oh, painful. I had to leave it till 3:00 in the afternoon.
And even then,
yeah.
Well, if you let Kate have driving lessons, she could have drove you back. You could have had a little sleep.
Oh no, you're all right.
Oh, welcome to the 1920s. A woman driving? Fuck no.
No, I'm sure Kate would be a very, very, very good driver.
Than you. I've never even seen you drive, and I know she'd be better.
There's nothing wrong with my driving. I'm a very good driver. I've not crashed in years.
When you talk about you driving, I have a vision in my head of when the bloke from Star Wars has to have a special seat and special pedals so he can drive his big car. Well, to him it's big. Is it like that for you? The wooden blocks on the pedals.
I've got a little pocket in the middle where I store my crayons.
Oh, in case Harry Kane turns up.
I used to have lemon sherbets, but I run out, so I'm now using them.
Oh, lovely.
Should we move on to our next guest? People don't like to hear us babble.
Well, Chaz does.
Okay. Well, yeah. Hello to Chaz. Right. On to our next guest. Our man in Poland, Mr. Brexit himself. It's Mr. Lord Hillwood. Hello.
Hello. A little bit of politics, a warning in advance. Theresa May is on the loose out in fucking Warsaw here. Although she's bodyguarded up and in her hiding, doesn't want to meet any terrible British people out here who fucking vote or didn't vote for her. But she's in Poland lurking about, hence police running around all over the place. It's -6. It's snowing.
I've just got a picture of you lurking behind some bushes watching Theresa May. Now, you might or might not have a sniper rifle.
No. But see, the thing is in Poland that it's really weird that you would think there'd be like top security for such things. But me and one of my mates one Saturday afternoon were lurking across a very large square where the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is, coming up to the side of a park there, going to a pub to watch the football. And all of a sudden, we noticed that Boris Johnson is striding across the square with the foreign minister, so we just had to shout wanker really loudly, followed by a few other bits of choice abuse. The funniest thing is that they couldn't see us, but the foreign minister burst out laughing as we legged it through the park to the boozer, which was quite amusing. So that's tonight's politics over. Yes, it's fucking cold here and it's snowing.
Did you know that there's a running theme with Boris Johnson in this podcast? Because I'm sure Fife and Chris and Jason and a few others got pissed up. We're in London and they went past Boris Johnson's house and they were shouting abuse at him.
Through his letterbox at 1:00 in the morning. It was after the ABW Christmas party.
Well, there you go. It's a
bit like Chris, then, isn't it? It's not big and it's not clever.
Well, they had to lift Chris up to shout through the letterbox.
Well, I think the thing is, we just, we're only doing what the rest of the British people think. He is a wanker and he does need telling. But yeah, it's freezing out here, and I've had to stay in all week watching football.
That's our future PM you're talking about there.
Well,
when the Maybot does no longer compute.
well, excuse me, Danny, that was political there. But what a sad business it was last night to watch Bristol City rip the arsehole out of Manchester United.
I'm sure.
And dear Jose sat there looking like someone had nailed his hemorrhoids to the fucking seat at the end of the game. Laugh, I nearly had a fucking heart attack. Anyway, I'm sure our next guests want to be introduced.
Yes, he certainly does. Next up, it's ABW's resident lady smasher. It's John Welsh. Hello, John.
You all right, Kim? How you doing, mate?
That's an intro, Lady Smasher. I've got it written down here as Lady Basher, but I actually thought I changed it while we were talking to Steve because I thought that might imply that you hit women. So,
yeah, I mean, Lady Smasher might imply that I hit women as well. Just for the record, I don't hit women, but yeah, that's not the best intro I've had. It's probably not the worst intro I've had on here either, though. So
he doesn't hit them. He makes love to them.
So the donkey punch doesn't count as a hit then?
No, you are supposed to ask first if they like that, though. It's polite to it.
We were watching a program, me and Sean, last night, and then someone.
I'm worried where this is going.
I think it was.
Hit the censorship button immediately.
I think it was Mickey Flanagan, and then he mentioned a donkey punch, and Sean started laughing. I went, "What?" I'm changing the channel.
She's been doing some naughty things at university then, Danny.
Apparently, she's the hard one that no one will fuck with. They said if it kicks off, Sean, we'll send you out to deal with it. I think it's because she's a year older than everyone else, not because she's more sensible. I know. 20 soon. Who would have thought?
Before we start, Danny, there is one thing. Now, that picture that is so famous with
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, you know it. You know,
the one you've had blown up to AA1 and had put on above your ceiling because you love it so much.
That's the one. And as I'm frogging Kate, I look up and I see your face. But no, that picture that was taken of you in the bath that you sent to Rob Beckett when he was on.
He loved that, by the way.
Of everyone on the podcast, who took that picture of you in the bath?
You do know that I was covered in foam and a huge, gigantic sponge was covering my wedding vegetables, don't you?
Can I just say, there is no way that I would ever want to photograph my father's nipples.
Well, they didn't have much choice. It was in landscape. I bet you've cut the sponge out and got a really big bratwurst, haven't you? You've got it hanging through the picture.
To be honest with you, I didn't even get a semi off of it.
Oh, has that finished the family section of the show?
Yes, it has. So just to clarify, it was Danny's daughter that took that picture of him in the bath, and that's what we learned this week. Danny, you're a sicko. And finally, from the ABW, pardon?
And talking of sickos.
Yeah,
he's a perverted person amongst a lot of us. Oh, skinny, tall Josh.
And you fucking introduced him now.
It was Josh Widdicombe.
What do you want? Do you want to host this week? Do you?
I'm not.
No, fucking shut up then.
Right.
From the ABW radio show, it's Josh. Hello, Josh.
Hey, Gim. Thanks for the introduction. It was a lot better than Danny's. I'll take that.
Hard.
Oh, you have a question.
Back to me in the bath again.
Oh, for God's sake.
Do you ever get the feeling he just likes talking about himself?
He fucking asked me.
You're like the Duncan Castles of yourself.
Is that the bald swimmer?
Yeah, no. He is a slaphead, though.
Oh!
No, it's the one that trombones Mourinho. That's the one you're thinking of.
Reacharound.com.
Oh, God. For people playing sexual bingo, someone must have shouted house by now.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's been quite a rude intro. Anyway, Josh, shut Danny up. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I have a lot more... I feel for you now, Gimli, after having to host a radio show in which Danny was on as a guest.
He's a fucking nightmare, isn't he?
Oh, it's like herding a grown cat.
Yeah, me and James. We don't even have a James. Me and Jace behaved ourselves, and Josh was very good. He was very analytical, and he played the straight man. It was very good.
I can't believe that you behaved yourself.
I did, because he's new. Talk about getting chucked in at the deep end. Yeah.
What? So it's what? So I'm not new. So you act like a cunt every week. Sorry.
That's correct. You've been doing this for 5 long years.
That's not how it works when a supply teacher comes in.
No, it isn't.
This isn't school,
isn't it?
This was a respect.
Nobody fucking learns anything. That's why it's not school.
Before we took people's fucking analysis of the show, and then everything that they said not to do, we did more.
Yes.
Like Brexit, like talking about ourselves at the start.
At least we're not going to talk about where you hide your pen, is it?
Nope. And I should say, if you're listening to this and you haven't switched off yet, give the podcast a like, because I always do it at the end of the show when we don't get many likes. Send us some likes. We like the likes. Thumbs up, people, and not John's type of thumbs up. Hey, John.
Or your thumbs.
I don't like using the thumbs.
Do you not?
Use the opposable thumbs, mate. You've got to use them for other things. You want to use the normal digits, your phalanges.
In the stink?
Yeah, you can do the old shocker. I mean, if you're 17, and you're dating a girl, just do the shocker. She'll love you forever. It's fine. You're a bit older, you've got to treat a lady a bit different. You might have to take her to dinner. But yeah, 17 shocker done.
And that's the kind of quality info you're going to get from a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. So anyway,
very, very Christmassy. This show we like to see. Lovely.
We are sexuality bingo.
We do say that it's 18 plus in the thing. Oh, Steve's put in a comment. I bet it's going to be. Oh no, yeah. Oh, we must say that John's a bit echoey because because Microsoft makes shit equipment. Here we have now got 4 people with fucked headsets. And
mine's all right. Can I just say that concludes the Bergkamp Wonderland family section, sponsored by Tubby Isaacs, the purveyors of fine crustaceans to underpants all over Essex and outside pubs. Thank you very much.
It certainly does. Go on in, Gim, get on with it.
Quality. It's your bit next. We're going to go over to you from scores across the board and a lone watch if you can be bothered.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Right, okie dokie, here we go. The last Friday, the under-23s hosted Derby County, and it finished 3-3. And at one point, we were 1-0 down, and then we were 2-1 down, and then we got goals in the 78th with OC22, and Julio Unpronounceable scored a goal in the 94th minute. So we are currently 3rd in the league, only 7 points behind the leaders, the Bin Dippers. Fuck them. Then we've got the under-18s. They played in the FYC, the FA Youth Cup, beat Sheffield Wednesday 2-1, because Soccerway are a load of shit. They haven't put the lineup or the goal scores or any of that nonsense, so I shall just move on. The Arsenal ladies last played on the 17th of December, and they beat Sunderland 3-1 with goals coming from Nobs, my Dima, where's she from? Dutchland. So I don't know how you're going to pronounce that. And someone called Mead. Where's Mead from? I think Mead might have been a sub. Mead is English. There we go. Bethany Mead. So she came on as a sub and scored a goal. We are now 3rd in that league as well. 5 points behind Man City, who have just probably chucked a few £billion at it. And then we have injury room. And Mustafi has been out for 19 days. Don't know when he's going to be back. He's got a dodgy knee. Cazorla still says any day. Been out for 428 days. God. Aaron Ramsey's been out for 11 days of a hamstring, 3 weeks until he's back. And Giroud has been out for 2 days, another hamstring issue, and they reckon he's going to be out for a month. And who would you like to hear from in the Lone Watch, Mr. Gimli?
Is Zelalem on loan?
No, fuck knows what he's fuck knows what he's doing. We've got Jenkinson and Bramall both at Birmingham doing fuck all. And who's put that? Josh. He wants to know about Cohen Bramall. Okay, fair enough. We'll go at Cohen Bramall. He's currently on loan at Birmingham, and so far they are 22 games into their league season. He played all of the first game, then got injured. And then he's only played one other game where he played 89 minutes last week against Fulham when they lost 1-0, and he played left midfield and his first game left back. So in 22 games, he's played 2. And I think he's played 1 League Cup game and 1... he played against us? Or was it for Arsenal? Fuck knows, I don't know. How am I going to know which team he played for if it was for... and Derby. So, yeah, that'd been 1 for us. And he scored, got an assist. Was that a goal? An assist. So yeah, none of them really pulling up any trees. I don't know how you do pull up trees, but apparently people can pull up trees, and nobody is pulling up trees on any of the loans. Hold on, has anyone put anything in here that I can read? No, it's probably all highly inflammable. Go on and Gim. That's it. That's all she wrote.
Is that it?
Yeah. What else? I haven't missed any, have I?
No, I don't think so.
You weren't listening, were you? So you wouldn't know.
I was listening.
Are you playing FIFA?
No, I'm not actually. I got the Football Manager 2018 for my tablet as a birthday gift, so I'm going to switch that on in a minute.
What team are you going to start as?
I've already started as Arsenal, got rid of everybody. Ozil and Sanchez wouldn't sign, so I thought I'd fuck them off straight away, pair of cunts.
Did you get any money for them?
Yeah, I did.
That's a novel idea. Why did you let them go on a free?
They both went to PSG. Ozil went for something like 47 million and Sanchez went for about 80. So I reinvested it. I bought Leon Goretzka for the middle, and I bought Andrea Belotti up front to replace Sanchez. And they're both they're having barnstormer, absolutely fantastic. And I bought Malcolm on the right mid.
So what made you do the crazy thing of actually getting them money for them rather than letting them go on a free transfer? Where do you get that kind of nonsense idea? I thought the dumb thing was to let them all go for free.
Break out
So I
the
did sit
heroin,
there.
John.
I did sit there and I thought, well, maybe I could just put them in the reserves and let them rot. But really, managing is a difficult game.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'll get the money. I'm going to cash in on my asset.
Well, fuck me. That's novel. Get on with it.
Right. So we'll continue on the show then by talking about our 2 matches this week. The first win at home to Newcastle in the Premier League, and the second, another 1-0 Carabao Cup win against West Ham. So we'll go to you first, Josh, and I want you to tell us about Mesut Ozil's magical volley.
Yeah, I think, was that not against Newcastle?
Yes, it was, but we're covering the both. We multitask now on this show, 2 at the same time. There'll be questions about one game, questions about the... When was the last time you listened to us? Go with the programme, dickhead. Ozil's volley.
Yes, Ozil's volley. I think what an incredible volley that was from him. I think my favourite thing about it wasn't actually the technique, was the fact that he's reading that situation and you can see it minutes ahead of everyone else in that box as he takes a couple of steps back and then just waits for it to drop before smashing it over Rob Elliott, who ended up having quite a good game in the end. Much like most goalkeepers that come to the Emirates, they end up having a worldie. But yeah, absolutely fantastic goal. And he had a couple of opportunities to add to his tally. I think in the end he looked really threatening. More can be said than a certain Alexis that is apparently featuring for us at the moment. But yeah, I absolutely love that goal.
And John, on a game that at face value looked fairly boring or sounded fairly boring, can you pinpoint anything that you want to talk about the Newcastle game?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best game ever. I thought that and the West Ham game, to be honest, were both pretty boring. This is slightly better. I thought we started okay. Ozil was really good throughout the game. I thought Jack was okay, again, playing in midfield. It was more the fact that he's playing 90 minutes regularly and finishing games, which is the big positive, and playing games consecutively. And Maitland-Niles was the other big takeaway for me. Whenever he's featured so far this season, whether it's been Europa League or in the league, he's been playing from the left-hand side, whether it is a wing-back or a full-back, out of position, on his wrong foot. And I think every time he's done really well. 1 or 2 times he might get caught out a little bit positionally, but he's impressed me. His recovery pace is really impressive. He's physically very strong. There was a few times in this game where he got kicked and got up and squared up to people. Did it in the West Ham game as well. And his delivery actually isn't too bad from the left. So I'm really impressed with how quickly he stepped up. And I'm really looking forward to when we finally get to see him play in midfield, which is obviously his natural position. But I'm really, really impressed with him and what he's doing. And also a little word for Petr Cech as well. Kind of gone a little bit unnoted, but he's made some key sort of saves and, coming out from corners and stuff and getting his hands on things in games where we haven't had a lot of defending to do. But when we have, he's actually turned up and delivered, which he wasn't doing at the start of the season. So not the greatest game to watch, but there were some positives from it.
And Steve, as John just mentioned there, Maitland-Niles continues to shine. How convinced are you that he can do a job long term in this team?
What impresses me about him is the fact is he came into those 2 games as a kid who played in the Europa League mainly and minor fixtures, and he took his responsibilities well. Not only was he not wasting energy, but he was getting forward, passing balls off, but he was also leaving his foot in when he needed to as well, and taking no shit from anybody. And he wasn't retaliating. He was just physical when he needed to. I think it's quite impressive what he's shown on his wrong foot on the wrong side. It'd be interesting to see what he does do in the middle of the park. You might get to see that on Friday night, or he might be at right back replacing Hector Bellerin, who's been less than brilliant recently. But I think he has got a role to play in this team because we've got so many fixtures coming up. We're in so many competitions at the moment, and we need people in midfield. Simple as that. We need players who can actually play in a few positions as well.
Do you think, Steve, that his absence from the West Ham game is almost certainly because he's going to play in the next game against Liverpool?
Well, you never know, do you? I mean, I hope he isn't, but he could be injured. You don't know. But I would suspect, yes, I would suspect that's the case. What's very interesting, though, is how all of a sudden Kolasinac has dropped out of favour, and he was playing against West Ham. I didn't think he had a particularly good game overall. I mean, he did some good things, but how quickly he's sort of gone out of the mix and Maitland-Niles has jumped ahead. All I hope is that Arsene doesn't do his usual and he falls on something by accident almost, and then he overuses it and burns the kid out. And I think he's got to really look at what he's doing with Maitland-Niles, because I don't really want to see Maitland-Niles versus Salah, on Friday night, because if that goes badly, that'll be terrible for his confidence. And he'll get the fans. But the kid's got a bright future. He's only got two problems. One is Wenger playing him out of position, and the other thing's the likelihood of whether his mum comes up the stadium and batters a club official again.
And Danny, Steve mentioned there about Kolasinac, and I'll go into my pod notes now, and literally everything that I've written, first 3 or 4 podcasts of the season, it's like Kolasinac, the tank, and like, because I always have to name the file that I save these on, and literally they were all based on Kolasinac. So what for you has seen his downfall, or why has he seemed to be out of favour? Do you think it's poor performances, or do you think it's just that Maitland-Niles has been better than him?
I think it could be when he played for who did he play for in Germany, John?
Schalke.
Bless you.
Schalke.
Yeah, that's the one. The team I cannot see. Yeah, that's the one. Did he play left back, or did he play left wing back, or where?
Left back, I think.
Played both, basically. Yeah.
So it's not because we've gone back to the back four, but Maitland-Niles isn't a left back. He isn't a left winger. I think he's a right-footed, right-sided player, as we saw from the game last week, when both of the superb crosses he did to Giroud were both with his right foot. But it's just, I think during the first half of the game, Maitland-Niles made this magnificent run through the midfield, and I had visions of him running down and scoring. And I think that may have shown that hopefully Xhaka is the one that will be dropped for the next game. I'd love to see Maitland-Niles and Wilshere play together in the centre of midfield, and then have Jack will play on the left of the centre, and Maitland. Ashley Ainsley will play on the right hand side. Got Jace with that again midweek. That was brilliant. And but why Kolasinac isn't playing? I don't know. He should be playing, because he hasn't really been a problem this season. If anything, he's been very good. The person who does need shipping out of the team is, first of all, Xhaka, because he is just having a shit game week after week. And then secondly, it'd be Bellerin with I'm sure you might mention later the sudden re-emergence of Debuchy at right back. So I think they're the two people that should be worrying about their first team position, not Kolasinac. So why he's doing it, I've got no idea. And yeah, like you said, if he's dropping him for the Premier League game, but yet playing him in the Chickaboo Cup or whatever the bloody hell it's called now,
Carabao,
from the draw we made from a cat cafe somewhere in China. The draw's been already made, hasn't it? We got Chelsea. Oh God. So I don't know why he's doing it. It is odd.
Bear in mind, Kolasinac this time last season would have broken up in the Bundesliga for a winter break, and this is a similar thing that he did to Mesut Ozil in his first season.
But playing in the League Cup, though, is the thing.
He's had 2 games. He's had 2 games off. So that could be.
Just because I had pork chops this time last year, it don't mean I fucking want them again, does it? Do you know what I mean? Like, the player, like, a year has gone by since that. You've got to worry about the state of him. If just because he had a little holiday last year, he's got to have a holiday this year. Fuck off. He's what, 100 grand a week? Something like that? Play.
You bit. But I'm just looking at the Opta ratings for Xhaka in his last few games. 6.9, 7.6, 6.8, 7.1, 8 against Huddersfield. Well done. 6.5, 6.7, 5.8, 6.6. That's not the Xhaka that should be getting a first team place, is it?
No, I don't think so. Josh, what's your thoughts on Xhaka? Is he underperforming in your opinion?
Yeah, I think a lot of that midfield is because, we've been almost, I wouldn't say found out in that midfield, but people are packing it again. And that was a problem we've always had, really. And if your passing isn't absolutely spot on, then it's going to be really difficult for you to really just get your passes through and play your natural game. So I think that's what's really held him back, plus the fact that we've seen a complete lack of movement up front. And if he hasn't got that ball close to him with a Ramsey or someone making an overlapping run, he's looking to play that ball into the channel up near the top, where someone like an Alexis or an Ozil or Bellerin is pushing the opposing fullback back towards their goal. And because that movement's not there at the moment, he hasn't got that outlet that we saw earlier in the season and the end of last season.
Is he on mute?
Who?
Yes, I am on mute. Sorry, but it's
Fucking
because
idiot.
the dog was barking downstairs.
Don't blame the wildlife.
And Kate, say hello, Kate, for all the people. Hello, Kate.
Okay.
So she's here as well. Also, we'll go to John. There was 11 changes made between Newcastle and West Ham. Is it reassuring to know we have such squad depth?
I mean, yeah, it is okay at the moment. The issue is when we have to play better opposition. Let's be honest, Newcastle are, where are they? 18th in the league, fighting relegation. West Ham aren't really doing much better. I know they beat Chelsea and they got the draw against us in the league, but they're hardly a great team. So it's nice that you can rotate, but I think like Danny said, next round we've got Chelsea. There's no way you can play that same team against the Chelsea side. And I think in the Europa League, we got a little bit lucky with the draw, but I still think you need a little bit more experience in there. So second half of the season, I think the squad's going to get stretched again, and it's down to the manager to pick which competition he's really going for, because I don't think we've got the quality and the depth. I think there's a clear distinction between who are the first choice midfielders and who aren't at the moment. And you can see there's a noticeable drop-off in maybe not technique or anything like that necessarily, but in the ability to break down teams. You know, if you put Coquelin and Elneny in the midfield, you're not going to cause the opposing team a lot of problems. If you get Wilshere and Ozil, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them. So I think as the season goes on, he's going to have to pick where he's going with what competition he wants.
And Steve, we'll move on to Danny Welbeck. He featured v Newcastle and he scored the winner against West Ham. With Giroud injured, which we'll cover in a second, what are your thoughts on Welbeck and the role that he could play in this Arsenal team?
I have to say I'm a bit disappointed in the return of Danny after his unfortunate injury. His first touch is appalling. And, you know, he's been out injured, but he's come back and he's played quite a few minutes. It's not like he's, been out for a year. His first touch is appalling. His lack of coordination at times is dreadful. And he sometimes gets in the way of his own players. I on the other hand, I do admire the fact that if you stick him out on the left or the right and say to him, don't let anybody get behind you to your defender, he won't allow it. He'll just block up that whole side of the pitch. He'll muscle people off the ball and he will win the ball. It's just a shame as a forward he hasn't got that, what he really needs. I sometimes wonder whether that's because he's lost his bit of pace because he's had that problem with his knee, which is apparently like bone on bone almost. And I don't think he's a player that can play 2-3 games a week. I think going back to what John said, about needing to have a better quality of side, if you're going to play that Chelsea side, I think that's going to be the same in the Europa League as well. And I think it's not a question really of whether it's Coquelin or whether it's Elneny or whether it's Mesut Ozil or whether it's Jack, because it's quite frankly, if you've got a static forward line, and this is what Josh was hinting at, if you've got a static forward line, Giroud loves standing on his defender, lazy fucker. When he runs, it's like he's towing a couple of grand pianos. Yes, he scores goals. Yes, he's a brilliant servant for the club. Yes, he's very dedicated. But defenders like defending against him because, he's not going to suddenly zip up the inside of him at 100 miles an hour. And neither's Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck will cut in and create havoc in the box, though. Maybe actually putting Danny Welbeck in the middle could be a way to solve the problem. But here's something else which no one seems to come back to. One of the reasons why there's no movement on the flanks is because fucking Alexis won't stay where he's supposed to be. He keeps dropping into a number 10 position. That's why Ozil gets crowded out. And that's why that space that Josh is talking about that needs creating for Xhaka to operate in doesn't get opened up because either they fill it up with players or Sanchez gets in there and loses the ball and they're on the break against us. So, Arsenal's I don't think he's got yet to choose what competition because he's got one game to go and he's in a final at Wembley in the League Cup. right, 2 games. In the FA Cup, we've got Nottingham Forest. We can play a lesser strength side against them. If we get a lucky draw, we might, get 2 or 3 rounds into the FA Cup and not need to put a big team out. Now, but the Europa League and the Premier League is what he's got to concentrate the first team squad on. The Europa League's not coming back for a while now, and he's got the January transfer window coming up, so all is not lost. I think Welbeck actually could do a job. If you want to plug up holes in front of defenders and you want someone who's going to physically push people and run down wings, he's a good crossover ball as well. So, yeah, he's got a role to play.
Thank you, Steve. Danny, as I said there with the Steve question, Giroud pulled up with a hamstring injury and looks likely to be out for, 2 to 4 weeks, maybe a month. How much will we miss him?
I saw that you have been getting quite angry with people on Twitter saying what kind of Arsenal fan is celebrating the fact that Giroud is injured. And you're completely right, because what's plan B going to be? There is nothing better. In the Premier League, there's not many teams that can have a player like Giroud to come off the bench, not only be a really good striker, but completely change the way that you change the way that you play football. You can go long ball, you can rough it up in the area, do all the stuff that Lacazette isn't going to do, because it's a different type of football for a different type of situation, and he comes off the bench and he has shown that, and I think he has shown in the last few games that he is not capable against the big team. I mean, even against West Ham when he played a couple of Europa League games, that he isn't capable of coming off the bench, starting a game and doing well, which is a bit of a shame, but that's how it is for him at the moment. And for him to be able to do that always means that we can have that. I'm just trying to look at a stat. The bloody page closed, didn't it? That's why I was muttering. Giroud has played 25 games in all competitions this season. The next highest player is Czech with 20. And in those 25 games, he scored 7 goals, and he's been brought on as a sub 15 out of those 25 games. So we're going to miss him. And I don't want, Welbeck and Walcott, neither of those two have got an eye for goal. And we've got nobody who can come in, rough it up front, and is going to be good in the air, good with the elbows, good with his back to goal. And we are going to miss him. And there is no way on earth we're going to play anybody else in and do the same job that he does for us, because there isn't anybody at the club that can do it, is there?
Welbeck was our top scorer before he went off and got injured. That's all I'm going to say on it.
Top scorer?
Yeah, he was our top scorer until he got injured with 4 goals.
I can't even remember him scoring that many goals, to be honest with you.
At the beginning of the season, before Alexis came back in, he was having an absolutely fantastic season. And then inevitably, like all our players that have a good run, they get injured.
Well, at the moment, Lacazette is on 8, Giroud is on 7, Sanchez is on 5, Walcott and Welbeck are on 4, and then we've got Ramsey, Ozil, Kolasinac on 3. So, yeah, you wouldn't have thought that, would you? So I was doing the write-up today and getting the website ready, and I thought I was updating the prediction league. I thought, I can't remember who scored against West Ham. And it was bloody Welbeck. So, Welbeck and Walcott are quite similar players to Lacazette. We're going to miss him, Gimli. Why were you getting so annoyed with people on Twitter? What sort of shit were they coming out with?
It was mainly that, and don't get me wrong, I'm frustrated that we went out and spent £54 million on a striker, and we can't seem to play him for 90 minutes. Obviously, there's a reason why. I can't believe, as much as we criticise Arsene Wenger, that he's doing it just for the fun of it. So then maybe there's a reason that he's doing it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm not part of the backroom staff or anything like that. But it's now Giroud's out, we're going to start to see Lacazette playing 90 minutes. And it's like, just fuck off. Just like, why do you go on there and think, oh, I'm so happy because someone got injured? And I remember Hector Bellerin getting injured a couple of years back, and all of our fans were going, oh, and I think even Jason on the podcast, it was a live one, and there was someone that celebrated Bellerin getting injured, and he ripped into them, if I remember correctly. That. Yeah, because
too happy.
No, and we did have to say to Jason, you can't really speak to people like that. But however, the level. Stop
him, though, did it?
No, it doesn't. I don't, and to be honest with you, I would speak to them exactly the same. Yeah. If you hope that any of our players get injured, that another one could.
Coquelin.
That
if you're Jason.
Because and give the boy his credit, he was fantastic against West Ham, and there's not a single person on this podcast that can say otherwise. But that aside, if you are someone that wants one of our players to get injured so another one can play, then you are a fucking retard, right? That's all I've really got to say on it. it's someone that I don't particularly like on Twitter that I saw firsthand, which cued the tweet. But it's good news. Now Giroud's injured, we'll get to see more of Lacazette. No. Now Giroud's injured, Lacazette will be spread far too thin, and he will probably get injured. Sorry, Steve.
I think one of the big things, and one of the things that pisses me off the most, is we bought this bloke for 54 million quid, and he's supremely fucking quick over the first 5 yards. And we've got a bloke sat deep who's got one of the best left foot in the games, but we're not using Lacazette's abilities. Where's the ball over the fucking top of all the cunts in midfield parking the bus, so that Lacazette or even Walcott, dare I say it, if he was there, could latch onto it and fucking try and score a goal? You know, it's almost like we've got bullets in the gun we're not prepared to fire. We can't. In the last 2 or 3 games, we've looked stale, slow, no movement. You got. You know, when you go out in a car race, you can't just go out full pelt all the time. You've got to change up. You change up the way you do things, and we're not using our width. If you look at the way we play, you've got Bellerin, and Maitland-Niles does get down his side. What Colasinac's before, they're not pushing up. They're not running, looking at beating people. Half the time, the ball's coming back inside. Everything's getting squidged up the middle, and we've got Lacazette up front. He's got so many abilities. If you watched him play in France, the number of time balls up front or balls that went cross field, straight over the back or straight between the two centre halves, and he was on it like a flash, bang, straight in the back of the net. We're not using that, and we should be using that.
No, I completely agree with you, Steve. But where do you sit on people that are going, oh, I'm glad Giroud is injured? As you've said, you know, there will be games when we can rest a Lacazette and have him fresh for bigger games. Giroud plays a part. No matter what he does on the field, he still plays a part in the season.
Yeah, but the point is now he's injured and he's out for 3 weeks. It's only 3 weeks. It's not 3 months. You know, anybody who wishes any Arsenal player to get injured is a dick. But, you know, there's no more to be said than that, really. No,
and considering as well, I think Giroud's agent came out this week and said that he'll be looking for a move in January if Arsene Wenger will let him go. Josh, your thoughts on the future without Giroud for the next couple of weeks and maybe after January, the foreseeable future?
I think the most worrying thing is the number of fixtures we've got coming in that 3-week period. I think it's about 5, maybe 6 we've got across the Christmas period. No, we can't be playing Lacazette for all of those. He's going to have to still come off in those kind of 50, 60th minute kind of time periods we've seen him been coming off before. So with Welbeck coming back, I suppose that's a blessing that we can at least rotate him out with him. You've also got Alexis, who he can play in there, and Iwobi can drop into that side. But we're going to really have to hope that the rest of our players really pull up their socks anyway, because our form hasn't been great against a lot of teams who do love to defend deep. I think that's one of the issues that we've had, that we just haven't got the team that we're trying to attack against to almost come out and play a little bit so we can get in behind them. So we played, as you say, Newcastle and West Ham. Well, Rafa Benitez is well known for parking the proverbial bus, as is David Moyes. And I think the game against Liverpool, I think that's where we'll truly see, against a defence that is a lot more willing to leave gaps to help with their attacking, that we should be okay in the games we've got coming up, especially with people like Palace, and West Brom's going to be a difficult one with Pardew, but I'm not too worried about not seeing Giroud, because we do have the aerial ability of Danny Welbeck, which is probably better than someone like Alexis. Lacazette, we haven't seen enough of him against Premier League centre-backs. In France, he was fairly adept in the air, but we're going to have to see if we actually get crosses in as well, which is part of the issue. But otherwise, we're going to miss him, obviously, but if we win the games outside, we won't miss him too badly. And it's a case of everyone else rallying around and making sure we don't notice the fact that he's missing.
And John, will come to you on underperforming forwards, and the name in my mouth is Theo Walcott. He really struggled against West Ham, didn't he? I just don't get where he stands at the club.
That me and Jason and Carl were obviously talking about it on the radio, and I mean that miss, the header, was unforgivable. I don't understand what he's thinking and what he's doing. I mean, is it possible that Walcott has got enough of a brain that he thinks, oh, hang on a minute, I might get sold here, so I've got to make sure I look terrible so it lowers the chances so I can keep stealing 140 grand a week? I don't get it, honestly. He had so much time, he could have brought it down, he could have chested it, he could, anything he wanted to do, it just doesn't bother. And it's a shame because he started the game quite brightly. I thought he was pressing and he was tracking back and trying to put tackles in and everything. And he's presented with an opportunity like that. You haven't got many chances this season, Theo, and you just throw it away. And it's honestly, I don't know what more you can say about him. I don't see him ever improving from what he currently is. I think you've got a player, an asset there, really, that you can sell, still get good money for because he's English, despite his age. And I think the best thing for him to do, really, well, for us anyway, is to sell him, cash in whilst we can. And I'm sure there's better players all over Europe you can get, will be on lower wages and for less money than what we get Walcott. He's just not producing at all. And he doesn't do it regularly enough. The thing that frustrates me is he will give you, say, 15 goals a season, probably, which is great. That's not a bad output for a winger, really, is it? But he's so hit and miss, and he goes through these patches where he's great, but then when the times you really need him, he doesn't turn up. It's just not good enough for what the club want to do.
No, I mean, what is he, 140 grand a week we're paying him
I think it's 140, something like that. It's around that, yeah.
That's just utter madness. Danny, someone that we've talked about for years and years and years, Theo Walcott, your analysis of him.
It's a difficult one because if you look back at his career, it wasn't that long ago that he was, I think it was last season or season before, and he was actually looked like he was turning it around. He was scoring goals against the teams in the League Cup and the FA Cup whenever he was getting a chance. I'm just getting his thing up now. He's 28 years old. He's going to be 29 in March, and you think, well, it's the football saying of he's only got one more move in him, which that move should have been years ago. Yeah, last season, 19 goals in 37 games, and 10 of those were in the Premier League. And you think, well, okay, look, you've had a few seasons of I want to play out front. Actually, no, I don't. Now I want to play on the wing. And then you think, well, if you've got 10 Premier League games, that's not a bad contribution because in the amount of money you're on, how long you've been there. I mean, he's played 393 games for Arsenal and scored 108 goals. Now, there are players who've played in midfield that have had better, not many, but there's that have got a better average in the Premier League than 1 goal in 4, which is what he's averaging for across all competitions. So you think, yeah, he's going to build on that. Like a couple of seasons ago, he got 14 Premier League goals, and again we thought, oh, he's going to build on that. Next season and the next 2 seasons he was injured, they only got 5 each. So you constantly, like I was tweeting somebody and I said, I'm really annoyed at Theo because he keeps letting me down. If there's one player you really want to see succeed at Arsenal, it's going to be Theo Walcott. He's a lovely bloke, he's an intelligent bloke, but it's been said so many times that he just isn't a footballer. He hasn't got a footballer's brain. He needs to look where the goal is every time before he shoots. And remember, we always used to say that if he has too much time on the ball and he thinks about it, he'll mess it up. And I think that's what he does. He needs to go to a team like a Newcastle or an Everton or someone like that, where if he goes to them, then he's going to be playing in a team. The pressure isn't going to be as much as it is at Arsenal. He's going to be playing more regularly, and he'll probably be one of those players that gets you 10, 11 Premier League goals a season. But for his sake and for the club's sake, he needs to go, because you cannot have a player on that amount of money playing in League Cup games against West Ham and playing against Huddersfield and playing against Norwich and things like whichever ones he's played in. I mean, this season he's played 3 Premier League games now. Have we played 17 Premier League games? It's not like he's been injured. He's played 3 League Cup games and he's played 5 European Cup games where he's got 3 of his 4 goals. So for his own sake, he needs to go, and I'm just annoyed that he isn't getting. Well, he's had more than enough chances, but he's not building on it. And finally, it looks like Wenger has had enough of him. But it also seems like Wenger doesn't seem overly bothered about getting rid of him. I don't want to hear in the press that possibly Giroud is the one that's looking at going. I don't want Giroud to go anywhere. He is the perfect substitute, as I was saying earlier. Theo Walcott is the one who needs to leave the club, if not only for the amount of money that it will save the club, but for his own sake. I mean, his England dreams must be completely out the window now. I'm just looking here how many games he's played for England. He's played 47 games for England, and he can't even get a sub game in against the teams that we've been playing recently. If you can't play as a sub against Newcastle, was he even on the bench against Newcastle? No, it wasn't even on the bench. And then someone like Go on.
I can sum Theo Walcott's career up in like less than 10 seconds.
Oh, go on in.
Was it debut against Aston Villa?
Fuck knows.
Debut against Aston Villa, scored a hat-trick for England, got injured, shit, sold. That's literally Theo Walcott, right, in a sentence.
Oh, dear. Sad, though, isn't it?
Oh, I suppose you could chuck
He's
in...
got Darren Bent syndrome, hasn't he?
That's it you were talking about on the radio show.
Yeah,
Tell him.
like Darren Bent was getting sort of 20 goals a season regularly, was what, Charlton and wherever else. He was like very consistent goal scorer. And then as soon as a player like that gets put in a bigger club where it should be easier for him to score goals because he's got better quality of players around him, doesn't do as well and can't perform. If you take Theo Walcott and you put him in Everton or Newcastle,
that's
West
where
Ham,
I got it from, the 10 goals a season thing.
I bet he would. I bet he would. He'd get I bet he could probably maybe get 20 goals as a striker up front for them.
He's got a touch of the Bobby Zamoras, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Is that a medical diagnosis?
Yeah, that's it. You're fucked. You got the Zamoras. You're fucked.
Yeah. You can ask Steve what he thinks. I bet, having been an Arsenal fan for, 40, 50 years, Steve, you've probably seen the likes of Lee Chapman and Raphael Mead and all these other players who've been there for a while and haven't really done anything.
I got a question. I got a question in my... And I've just thought of it.
That's because you're the host.
Do you remember any other player that's been at the club for a long length of time and done as little as Theo Walcott has?
I can remember a lot of players who've been fucking shit and been at the club. Ray Hankin and Lee Chapman come to mind. There's another player that used to play with Ray Hankin, and he was even fucking worse. I can't remember his name now because it was so long ago. But I would sum up Theo Walcott in one word: disappointment. Because he was a player that came to the club that looked like he was going to be the real deal, and he had pace and he had movement, and he was, really young kid, and he had a couple of good seasons, got injured. Then he went quiet for a while, and then he had that really brilliant season, and he got injured at the end of it. And when he got injured at the end of that season, he was out for quite a while, but he lived off that season for the rest of his Arsenal career. Even though he scored those 10 goals last year, 19 goals last year, 9 out of the 10 were like against shite sides. But you just look, I just watched him the other night in the Europa game. He's like, it's not the same Theo Walcott that joined the club. He's scared of getting injured again. His mind's gone. The psychological side of being someone who's perennially injured badly has affected him. He doesn't take his man on. He doesn't want to run up players with pace like he used to. This is a guy that terrified the fucking life out of John Terry when John Terry was at his peak at Chelsea, when we smashed them that day at Stamford Bridge, when Walcott scored twice. This was a guy who absolutely ravaged Tottenham, with his pace. The only time I've seen you'd see his pace is when he's like running through his garden with his son. I mean, he's a lovely bloke, but with football financial play rules in the Premiership about wages and him getting $140 a week for sitting lurking about doing a bit of community work and a bit of Europa Cup and a bit of maybe FA Cup, and he's not even getting a game in the League Cup.
As Josh has just put in there as well, Alaba hated playing against him versus Bayern Munich, and when he came off the bench against Barcelona as well, he used to hate playing against Theo Walcott.
Yeah, he used to give Pep nightmares.
Pep Guardiola actually said he was the one player they all feared because of the pace. If you want to think how good Walcott is, think back to that game in the Champions League versus Liverpool, where somebody got the ball in their area and they passed the ball and he fucking lit up the afterburners and he took 60 fucking yards out of the whole Liverpool team before squaring it for Adebayo, wrap it right in the back of the net. Where has that player gone? And he's just gone. I think injuries and the continually having to come back have knocked the bollocks out of him. I also think the system we're playing in doesn't help him. But I think he has to go from Arsenal. We can't afford to have a 28-year-old on another 3-year contract. He's going to be demanding 160, 170 a week. When he can't even get in the first team shoe cleaning squad. So it'd have, what I've heard is we would listen to offers for him. The problem is, I think we'd have to subsidise his wages to get rid of him, but we'd have to do it.
No, I agree. I think we've
been saying for years, haven't we? He's just not good enough. I mean, we've been saying the whole bloody time we've been podding. We're doing our 5th season now. 4th season? I can't remember.
So I remember they did a news story on him, and he scored a brace for Southampton, and they were talking about him being the wonder kid, and Arsenal signed him a couple of weeks later, and everyone was just so happy that we signed him. And I think it's just like, I can't actually believe that someone that's done so little has actually managed to get themselves a £140,000 a week contract. And the only thing that I can put it down to is my thinking as a fan was, do you know what? At that time when he signed the Signed-a-Ting thing, was that if he went to Liverpool, he would go and absolutely dominate, and he would do what Mo Salah is doing for them now. And I think on that's the only reason, through the fear that if the club sold him and he had and he fired Liverpool to some kind of glory, although doubtful, that we feared that the club would get coated for it. Other than that, I can't see.
The reason why he got that contract was because Van Persie went to Man United, and there was a massive storm about that. And if Walcott didn't sign his contract, and he'd have gone as well, there would have been the fans would have been up in arms against Wenger. So basically, Walcott's agent blackmailed the club into getting him that contract, threatening to leave. He got the contract, and as soon as he got the contract, he went fucking quiet again. Simple as that.
I don't think there's really a lot to argue with that. And it's quite apt with my next question. When Theo Walcott finally leaves Arsenal, and this will go to all of you, I mean, how are you going to be looked? And I'm only saying this because we've had a player this week retire in Tomas Rosicky that some people loved and some people thought was a bit of a diaby. So what's your views on Theo when he does leave Arsenal, Steve? And we'll stick with you. I mean, how are you going to view him?
I think I'm going to view him as I've always viewed him. He's the nice, quiet. He's the nice public schoolboy who speaks awfully nicely in front of the TV cameras. I remember them goals against Chelsea and those goals, the times he's ravaged Spurs, and that goal against Liverpool. But I'm not going to sit there and think, he was a bit of a cult hero like Rosicky was. Because Walcott's the last bloke who sort of swung back to the England hotel with six prostitutes and waked the team up for a piss up, hasn't he? And that's the point. He is the Tim Henman of Arsenal, in my opinion.
Oh, I met Tim Henman at my best mate's wedding. Oh my God, I've never met anyone more boring in my life.
Well, Graham Souness once described Arsene Wenger's Arsenal as a team of Tim Henmans. They're too nice. They're son-in-laws. And I'm afraid to say I think that's Theo summed up.
I think you've covered that quite well. So we'll move on to the Tomas Rosicky retiring then. Chaz came out this week, and I know he listens, so he'll probably be smiling now. But he came out this week and said that maybe a bit wrong to call him a legend, or that legend was too much for him. John, we'll go to you next. Tomas Rosicky, legend or not an Arsenal legend?
No, I wouldn't put him in legend status. That's sort of Bergkamp, Henry, Tony Adams, Vieira kind of status for me. I think, like, as a cult hero, Rosicky is definitely up there. I remember when he signed, we announced that we signed him, and I think it was just before, was it World Cup 2006?
It was after we signed him, because he scored a couple of goals for Czech Republic, and he looked fucking awesome in that competition.
Yeah, and I remember watching him in that, and I didn't know a ton about. I didn't watch a ton of European football at the time, and one of my mates said, "Oh, this is the guy we're signing. He's really good. He's mustard." And I'd already got his shirt, and it was and he just scored this absolute banger of a goal, great volley, like rifled it into the top of it. I thought, oh wow, what a player we've got here! And it's so disappointing, all the injuries he's had, because there's very few players over recent years that I could think of that injected as much pace into the game. Like, when he got the ball, he always tried to do something positive with it and always tried to go forward. He'd take on a player and try and run at them. It didn't always work out, and he didn't play enough for his time at Arsenal. But some of the goals he scored, especially against Spurs, obviously, and some of the little tricks and flicks and things he did in his time, and that ability to like play the ball the outside of his boot. They sort of, you do those weird 30-yard, 40-yard bending kind of diagonal things you do. It was just beautiful to watch. So I'll remember him fondly, and I'll just be disappointed that he never got more time on the pitch. But I think legend is a little bit too strong.
Okay. Josh, your thoughts on Rosicky?
I'm going to come in with almost incredibly rose-tinted glasses because he's one of my favourite Arsenal players.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Bar almost none. But I was going to say he was never phenomenal for us. And from the generation of Arsenal fans that I am from, Rosicky is that player from that 2006 when he came in and the 10 years, or nearly 10 years he was with us. That's basically my football heritage, those kind of 10 years of looking at football properly. And he always put a smile on your face when he came in, just the way he was so positive with the ball, the goals that he'd score from anywhere. And I think probably my favourite Rosicky goal of all time, because it's overshadowed by the Norwich goal, is the almost identical one he scored against Sunderland. I think it was, off the top of my head. And as I say, I think I came on before the pod. Yeah, before the pod started, that I said I wouldn't see him as a legend. He is that cult hero. He obviously, because we didn't really achieve anything with him at the club. He's got a couple of FA Cups from him, but I don't think during that time he was, he was coming off the back of all of his injuries. But if you have a look at the midfield we had, I think in the 08-09 season, you've got Jack coming in, you've got Cesc still with us. I think you've got Hleb and Rosicky, perhaps Nasri as well. You got Flamini, who's come in from AC Milan, who's actually doing a decent job for us. It's a crazy midfield that he came through with us, and it's arguably the deepest, most quality midfield we've had since that kind of pre-Emirates kind of time. And I think that's why I know there's going to be people that will say, well, he's not a legend because he didn't achieve anything with us. But for, I think, a certain group of fans, he lit up Arsenal for us. And for that, he could be seen as a legend in certain people's eyes. And in others, I'd say cult hero if you're going to spread all Arsenal players out. But for in the last 10 years, he's a legend of that last 10 years.
Danny, you're a fan of the football purist. He is a football purist player, isn't he? But injuries aside, when he did play, he was a touch of class.
It was a delight to watch, and been a Dortmund fan because he started his career at Sparta Prague, 3 years there. Then he went off to my mighty Borussia Dortmund, and he was there for 6 seasons, and he was a darling there. Everyone loved him.
Didn't Marco Reus come out and say he was a player that inspired him to be what he is today?
I don't know about that, but I wouldn't be surprised. And
he did.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, there's quite a few players that have said that. But you look at his time when he was playing for Dortmund. First season, or the first full season, 49 games and 6, 39 and 6, 27 and 3, 29 and 4, 30 and 5. Played regularly. Then he comes to Arsenal. First season, 37 games and 6 goals. Next season, 25 games and 7 goals. Then he got injured and he was out for the whole of the next season. Then he came back for a bit of a run where he played 33, 34, 38, and then he got injured again. He played 16. Then he played 39, 24, and then he got injured again. And then the next season he only played that one final game, which I think was maybe the end of the season against Aston Villa. Did he get a standing ovation or onto the pitch? And he's not world class. He's not. I mean, for us, he wasn't world class. He's one of the greatest ever Czech Republic players. He's played 105 games and scored 23 goals. That's a goal every 4 games, which is brilliant. And it's sad to see what happened to him. And he could have been so much better, but he did have some extended runs. And when he did, maybe he didn't reach his full potential like he did for his country. But again, it's a bit like Petr Cech, who we talked to somebody from the transfer deadline day who was from the Czech Republic, and he said Petr Cech never had the form for Chelsea that he never had the form for Arsenal and the Czech Republic as he did for Chelsea. And so many players, we've seen them over the years, have done stuff like that. And it's sad that people are looking back at him and going, oh, no, he's a shit player. 247 games, 28 goals. There's not many modern players for Arsenal in the Premier League that have played that many games and scored a goal, one goal every 10 games, or just one goal every 9 games, something like that. So I'm just going to be sad that that he retired. But at least he went to play back for his old team, Sparta Prague. First game of the season, got injured, and then he was out for the rest of the season.
Didn't he? Didn't he score for him?
No, this season he did. And then the beginning of this season, he's played 11 games, scored 1 goal this season in the league. And then he went, they've got the winter break there now. And he said, I don't think I can commit to it all. I don't think my body's going to hold up to it. I'm going to leave on actually been able to play a few games behind him. But it is sad. And people need just go and look on YouTube and go and look at what the skills and the ability and he's a wonderful player to watch. Which is you can't say that about a lot of players. He was flair and plus he's a lovely bloke and he's one of Chris's favourites as well. So I'm sad that that his career ended the way it did.
Right, Danny, it's over to you now for the listener questions. We've been waffling on for an hour. We cover 2 games. Do you see, Josh? This is how we do things now. 2 games at the same time. We integrate. We multitask. We've moved up.
I was just about to say, you can hear Jason now shouting, "Get on with it!" And Steve's put, "Oh fuck me, biography time." I think it gives a little bit of insight into a player's career for those people there's quite a few people that are regularly becoming new Arsenal fans. And they may not know about it. So questions.
I love him for his playboy side. I like him for his reverence to Arsenal playboys of the past, like Charlie Nicholas, who went out and was banging Olympic gymnasts and got injured. George Graham couldn't figure out why he kept getting injured. And I love Rosicky because he actually did turn up at the Czech Republic's hotel, bollocks with 6 prostitutes at 3 o'clock in the morning, and had a party, allegedly.
Allegedly.
But a top bloke. But one thing you can say about him, he did love scoring against Middlesex, and whenever he came on, he speeded the game up, which we could desperately do with now.
Yes, it would be nice. And some of those goals, I mean, just for the fact that he scored those, didn't he do it in back-to-back games as well against them? Yeah. So that alone, I mean, they were great goals as well. They weren't like the Welbeck goal where it hit him in the face and his chest and went in. No, these were classy games. Didn't he cut in from the right-hand side from one of them or the left-hand side?
Yeah, he also ended Daniel Rose's career after he'd obviously Daniel Rose had scored that screamer against us and basically dined his career out on it, and then he was robbed by Rosicky on the halfway line. Lovely,
because he's trying to do it again, wasn't he?
Yeah,
little prick. Right, question time. Right, first one is from Davey Boyd. This is for you, Gimli. He says, "Why has Santa given Ginger Gimli Elf the night off of work?" And this today's podcast, it's I can't find it now. But I've put Gimli has got the night off from working for Santa. So Gimli, how have you swung it for Santa to give you the night off from building toys for the little kiddies?
All I'm saying is sexual favours will get you everywhere.
Oh no, has he got a crusty beard again?
I'm pulling his beard out my teeth.
Next one isn't. When I put the tweet I did today was, "Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody, ho ho ho," and all that other stuff. We need questions, 1 each, and in brackets that applies to you as well, Schwinn. And he went, "Actually, I've sent you an email," and it says, "Hello all, just wanted to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year." We've got those 2 the right way around. It's not Happy Christmas and Merry New Year. People who do that need to be slapped. He says, "You guys do top stuff, and I look forward to every pod and radio show. Keep up the good work and enjoy the Christmas period." From across the pond, Schwinn.
Isn't that nice? So if you're listening to this, second plug of the night, go and give us a thumbs up. Close this down, go onto YouTube, thumbs up, happy days.
Jobs are good. And right, the next one, this is going to go starting with John and then Steve. So this one for John from Gooners in the USA podcast. He says, so this will probably be Mike sending us more dross. "Do you believe the rumours of Leon being owed an add-on fee for every game Lacazette plays the full 90 minutes? Also in that vein, with Giroud hurt now, do we see Lacazette playing the full 90 or a like-for-like Welbeck or Theo?" And he says, "Have a bagofdicks.com Christmas, you lovely sons of bitches."
I don't know. It's quite normal in contracts to have that. If a player plays a certain amount of games, the fee might be this much higher or this much lower if they score a certain amount of goals. Or it's like the Martial one. Everyone talks about that. The one to United, where if you won the Ballon d'Or within 5 years, they had to pay an extra 50 million or something ridiculous. There wouldn't be anything quite that extreme.
Steve loves about Reyes and the Champions League final.
Yeah, so
fucking hell.
It wouldn't surprise me if that is a in the contract. I don't think it would affect whether we're playing him for 90 minutes or not. I just think that's just us and, the way he wants to do things. What was the other part of the question? Sorry.
And who will come on for him? Is it going to be like before when Giroud was coming on for him near the end? Is it going to be Welbeck or Theo coming on?
Okay. I think it'll be Welbeck. I hope it'll be Welbeck, and I actually think it'd be better for Welbeck playing through the middle, like Steve said earlier. I think he needs to play there. He needs more run of games there. He's not the greatest finisher in the world. He hasn't got the best technique in the world, but he will run defences ragged, and he will do it for 90 minutes for you non-stop, and he will press. I think that Alexis has been the most disruptive force in our sort of forward line, and that's what's been messing us up more than anything else. But I'd guess it'd be Welbeck. It makes more sense as well. Obviously, Giroud's out, but if you have Lacazette and then you bring Giroud on, you completely change the way the forward line has to play because you're playing with a totally different type of striker. Which is fine if you need to switch the game up, but every other player in your team has to adapt to that on the pitch, and I don't think we do that quick enough.
Did you say anything about Rosicky being a fan of German football? Did you want to add a little bit?
No, not really.
Oh, see,
he had very pretty hair. Oh, he was a big metalhead as well, so I appreciated that.
Yeah.
There's a video of I can't remember who it is now. It's him, Czech on drums, I think. Someone's messing about with a keyboard, and there's someone with a triangle, but he's got a guitar and he starts playing Master of Puppets.
Alexis Sanchez on recorder.
Yeah.
Mesut Ozil on triangle, yeah.
Yeah. So I very much enjoyed that.
Good, I'm just messaging Chris.
Oh, here we go. This is something I just remembered. Did any of you know that fucking Emmanuel Aboue's son was in the Arsenal Academy?
I did hear that he turned down Chelsea, didn't he?
That kind of fried my mind. Yeah, he turned down Chelsea to join us, and Arsene Wenger knows about him. I think, was he a central midfielder, something like that?
No idea. But yet Kwame Ampadu's son fucks off to Chelsea, doesn't he?
Are we sure it's actually Aboue's son and it's not just Ellis doing Antoine Griezmann in disguise in poor taste? Because Ellis is the biggest Aboué fan in the world, so it wouldn't surprise me if he'd done that.
Yeah, his son is at Arsenal. I saw an interview with him this week, and he turned around and he said, even though I had ties with Arsenal, I let him pick where he wanted to go, and he's always loved Arsenal, so that's where he decided to go. Apparently, he's doing fairly well, from what I make out.
Is his surname Aboué then?
Yes.
Oh, how old is he? Do you think?
What do you mean? Is his surname Aboué? Why wouldn't his surname be Aboué?
The reason is because I haven't seen him in the under 18s or the under 23s. That's why I asked: have they got the same surname?
He's not that old.
And then I thought, maybe he's like Josh is implying. Maybe he isn't at the level of the under 18s yet. So you pull back that ridicule of me, Mr. Welsh. Oh, I love your crabs tickled.
Can we get on with it, please?
Yes, right.
No, it's Wonka.
Next question is to Steve from Bobby Check Your Boot. He says, with Bergkamp now being available, how would we fit him in our coaching staff? Because he's not going to be manager of anyone ever, is he?
Well, I don't think he wants to be, but I think the fact you've got to look at something else. It was Mark Overmars that sacked him, and you have to ask why. Apparently, Bergkamp was at the centre of a lot of the departures out of Ajax. There were disagreements over the way the coaching of the club went forward, and he was fired today. I also, he's a club legend. He's one of the best players I've ever seen play football. That doesn't. I don't want to take anything away from Dennis because he's as close to, being the best player I've ever seen as possible. But it doesn't make him automatically mean he's going to be a good coach and a good manager.
And the other thing,
exactly. The other thing is he doesn't fly. And I'm afraid to say for Arsenal managers or Arsenal coaches, that's you've got to do that. I'm not so sure he does fit in the current setup, but. When Wenger's gone, who knows what? Who knows? At the moment, we've just taken on Barcelona's football director. We've taken on Borussia Dortmund's new ex-head of scouting. We're revitalising the youth department with people from Reading, scouting, medical and science. So because Edis is getting prepared for things, you never know what might be in the future. But I just don't see that Dennis as a player, as a person, when he spoke in the media, he shunned the media. He didn't like talking to them. Very quiet, very impersonal person, very, very committed Christian, very modest person. I'm not so sure that he's got the personality to manage all the egos that you get in modern football.
What are your thoughts on obviously another name in the hat for Arsene Wenger to take his job is Mikel Arteta? Now, for me, it's a bit soon to be talking about Arteta. I know he's learning from Pep Guardiola, but he is only a coach up there. Steve, what's your thoughts on him?
I'm trying to be polite here, but I'm not going to be. Some of our fans need to stop masturbating themselves stupid, and they need to fucking get. They need to wise up. Mikel Arteta was a reasonably good player at Arsenal. He wasn't Patrick Vieira. He wasn't fucking, Dennis Bergkamp. He was a reasonably good player. And most of the time, he went sideways more than the contents of John's pants does. Let's make it straight. He was a half decent player. He made a wage cut to come to Arsenal. And he did do a very good job, and he scored some very valuable goals. And he's a bloody nice bloke, and also brilliant at keeping players together and happy. You can't take anything away from him. He's gone to work for Pep Guardiola. He's never managed a championship side. He's never managed any side, let alone managed, say, like a Brighton or somebody like that. And what, you're expecting to give him the second, maybe biggest job in English football? Because after Man United, there's no bigger job than the manager of Arsenal. What, with no experience, so just throwing him in there? That's just utterly ridiculous. I'll give you an analogy. That's like Tesco's firing their CEO and giving the job to a bird called Brenda who's worked in the fucking Manchester fucking Cheadle Hume branch on the fucking tills for 20 years, who's done a year at fucking Liverpool Lidl as the fucking manager, giving her the CEO's job. It's utterly fucking ridiculous and shouldn't be tolerated. Fans who are even thinking about it need to go and slap themselves and stop being fucking idiots. They're the Damien Greens of Arsenal fans. Move on.
And that's the bottom line. Just looking at when Bergkamp went to be the assistant manager at Ajax, they'd already won the league once, and they won it the next 3 seasons. But then it was Feyenoord last year and PSV the 2 years before that. So, yeah, they've got rid of everybody there, the manager. I mean, that's 2 managers they got rid of in the space of 6 months now, because the other one went to Dortmund and got fired. So, a little bit sad. Right, the next question is going to... actually, I'm looking at my Skype. Who's next in the order? Oh, it's little Gimli, just back from a wee. Right. Here we go, Gim. From Fraser Corbett. He says, what would you rather? This is a very good question. What would you rather? Arsenal beat Spurs on the last day of the season to clinch top 4 and send them lot back into the Europa League, or Spurs to beat Man City on the last day of the season, ending their unbeaten run and keeping invincibility hours by securing themselves a top 4 instead of us? Oh, I hate these questions.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Everyone else have a think about it. I'd like just a quick answer from everybody, because it's a really good question.
I fucking hate Tottenham. So drop them down to the Europa. No, actually, the Invincibles was amazing. I'd rather keep the Invincibles.
I agree with you. Anyone, John, what do you think? Fraser, damn you!
Spurs. The Invincibles is lovely, but that team was also a bunch of failures because they only won 1 trophy that season and they should have won everything.
Can we have that on a T-shirt? The Invincibles were a bunch of failures.
Martin Keown said the same. Martin Keown said exactly the same thing.
Just because Keown said it, it doesn't make it right, John.
I know it doesn't make it right, but I'm sorry. We should have won the fucking Champions League that year, and if we had of, no one would have heard of Jose Mourinho because he wouldn't have won it with Porto. Fucking idiot. I think I should have just chucked the game against Man United in the FA Cup final. Lost to fucking Chelsea. Wayne Bridge is the reason we don't win the Champions League. Yeah, so they can have, if they go unbeaten, then great. I don't really care. But yeah, fuck off Spurs.
Josh, what do you reckon?
I was going with keeping the Invincibles.
So was I. Steve?
I'd go with keeping the Invincibles because, to be honest, the Invincibles is something that's only been done twice in 100 years. And ours is the modern day thing of it, and it's something that should be kept unique. I don't give a fuck about, if Tottenham finish above us twice every fucking 22 years. But what I do care about is not allowing fucking cunty teams that are supported by hideous regimes to achieve things they fucking bought, which we had to work fucking hard for.
That's very wise words there.
Well said, Steve.
Right, the next one is Josh.
Just to piss on everyone's cornfornflakes. The Invincibles isn't a trophy. Just to say.
It was actually. It was a gold trophy rather than silver.
There he goes again. Thanks, John, for your input.
Look, I'm upset this week because Star Wars came out and they fucking ruined it. Some bloke called Ryan Johnson is a cunt. He's ruined that franchise. Scumbag.
You're the kind of person that tweeted happiness when Giroud got injured. You absolute melt.
No, I didn't do that.
Are you going on about Star Wars?
I got so annoyed with that. I can't
so we've got Star Wars and Brexit in this podcast.
Gee, fucking Shipman Jr. from Essex over there is fucking upset because a fucking couple of robots are fucking not come to his liking. Fucking Jesus Christ. The Invincibles wasn't a trophy. No, it was the crowning achievement in English football for 100 fucking years.
A Shipman Jr.
I've got to write about that.
It's all right. Me and John abuse each other like fuck during WhatsApp during the game, but it's usually our communal Theo abuse that gets him scoring goals, but it's not been working recently.
Yeah, so Theo hasn't played enough for us to abuse him, Steve, for him to score.
No, I know, but when he has played, he's been so nondescript we haven't bothered. So we've abused each other verbally. That is, I might add.
It's a great one out of the t-shirt as well. Shipman Jr.
People
don't Google that.
Can I just categorically state there's been no exchange of bodily fluids or seafood in this conversation?
Absolutely none. Right, question for Josh from Ahmed. He says, a non-Arsenal question for a change, a go for personal question. He says, best gift received through the years, Christmas gift received through the years for all the guests and Gimli not allowed to tell a lie. Ooh. So who wants to go first? I've got an answer if you want me to answer this while you lot are thinking.
Well, no, I've got mine. You asked me. I've got it. It would be back in 1996, and it would be a Lee Dixon shirt because that's what got me supporting Arsenal.
Oh, lovely. Steve, what's your favourite Christmas present you've ever received? Would it be back in the 1800s? You got a lump of coal and 2 tangerines?
No. My best Christmas present I ever received was in Poland in 1999, and we had the Secret Santa at work, and the girls that worked for me, they clubbed together and they got me like an apron I like to wear in the kitchen, and on the front of the apron it was like a woman in sexy underwear with nipple tassels, and it had a pouch at the front like a kangaroo, and when you put your hands in the pouch, you pulled it out, there was a rather large gentleman's sausage in there with a bottle opener on the end of it. And this present actually wasn't really that good. It's actually what happened to this present because me and the missus went out and left her mum at home with our daughter, who's now 17, was about 2 at the time. And when we came back, her mum was prancing around the kitchen in this bloody apron. And Asha said, "Oh my God, Mum, have you looked on the front of that apron? Can you see that that's a naked woman on there with tits and nipple tassels and things that's swinging around?" And Mum said, "Yeah, look at this." She said, "It's got a bottle opener in the pocket. Pull this cock out." And I've never liked her. And that image of her has remained in my mind for 17 years.
It all went a little bit Mrs. Brown's Boys there, it seems like.
Actually, do you know what? Now you've said that, I'm not going to be able to not see her as that again.
John, what was your favourite present?
I'm really struggling to think of one.
Was it test results one year?
Well, I mean, it's not the same because you get them 4 times a year anyway, so that's all right.
Free.
I think my best one, or the one I remember enjoying the most, I was probably about 6 or 7, something like that. And I got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle something power base or whatever it was, sewer base thing, and it had all the turtles and the truck and the blimp thing. I got everything, got all the stuff. It was amazing. And I think every Christmas since then's been miserable, Danny. So I'm not really happy about that question.
Gimli, is yours something to do with Kate buying you a certain amount of stuff that we can't talk about?
No.
Go on then, what was it? Try and make yourself sound like a normal human being for once.
Oh, no, hang on a minute. Actually, some
hello.
of the football boys bought me 3 brasses one year.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
3 prozzies?
Yeah.
What, at the same time?
Yeah, we had a big, like, Christmas party thing, and it was away, but we were staying at this hotel, and, they got me 3 brasses. I had 3 in my room. It was amazing.
Jesus.
I hope
People,
if
you want any more information about this, it's at jwelsh84 because he's not going to go into too much detail here. Gimli.
Did you put a bag on it?
Oh, for fuck's sake, leave
I
it.
put several. To be fair, they were very, very professional. They provided them as well.
Oh, that's lovely. That's always what I wanted.
So there you go. The one piece of advice from a Bergkamp Wonderland is if you buy 3 prostitutes, they bring their own condoms.
Can you... Let's just hope that none of the constabulary or the Feminist Lawyers Association are listening to this fucking version of the podcast.
I'm an absolute feminist.
Yes, he
sounds it.
Wow.
Gimli, answer the question.
It's between one of 2, to be honest.
So when you got your first Oxford United shirt?
No, N64. That was particularly good with GoldenEye, and GoldenEye was amazing.
What
was that, about 98, 99?
Fuck those.
Something like that, maybe a bit earlier.
That was like 96, wasn't it? GoldenEye?
Could have been.
It's gotta be. That was amazing. Starting the toilets in the vent.
Yeah, I'm going 98. I'm going 98 for GoldenEye.
I'm going to have to Google that now.
Yeah, Google it and let us know. Or when we moved into this house, it was just before Christmas, and my mum got me a signed. It was the Arsenal team in the squad photograph, and it was signed by all of the players as well. It was phenomenal. And GoldenEye was 1997 for your information.
Oh,
John.
split the difference.
Have you pawned that thing for crack yet?
Oh no! It's gone along over the years. It's disappeared. So gone somewhere. I don't know where it's gone. My parents got divorced, and we moved house, and everything disappeared.
No, the fucking signed thing, you miserable.
Oh no! I've still got that. Oh,
excellent. Yeah. And my one is along the same lines as Gimli. It would have been Christmas 1984 when I was 13 years old. My mum and dad nipped down to Woolworths and said, "My good man, what is the best computer we can buy for our son who loves computer games to replace his BBC B?" And the bloke went, "Yeah, we've just got this latest computer in. It's called a Commodore 16. And they went, "Oh, but he said he wanted the Commodore 64. Oh, no, that's the old computer. This is the new one." So guess which one my fucking parents bought me? But I'm still hold a grudge against it. Fucking Commodore 16 may have had better sound, but other than that, it was shit. And Mr. Arsenal 93 says to everybody, what's your worst present you've ever received? My one is going to be that, because it is the best and the worst at the same time.
I can answer that one easily.
Go on.
I wanted the latest Blur CD, and for some reason my parents read that as Blue, One Love. So imagine I'm going down going, "Oh, fucking you Blur CD, I'm going to get on." And this is the time before computers and downloads and all that bollocks. So if you didn't have a CD or a mate that had that CD, you was fucked. So I thought, Blur CD, it's coming. Waited for the big day, opened it, Blue, One Love. Fuck's sake.
Bloody hell. Has anyone else got an answer for this before we move on?
Mine's probably the same answer, those 3 brasses. What I got.
You're still scratching now.
Wait, John, tell us the story at the end. We can put it in the extras. Did you get knob rot?
No, don't. This has gone enough into adult entertainment as it is. We'll move on to the next question, which is going to be for Steve. No, it's going to be for John. We're back round to John now. From Azim.
What about for Josh?
No, we did Josh. Josh's one was the present one. I was supposed to be for everybody, wasn't it? Okay, no, this one will go for Josh. From Azim. He says, with Alexis and Ozil tend to drop dead to hold on. With Alexis and Ozil tend to drop deep often lately. Apparently both want to be number 10s in my dual 10 trademarked role. Ramsey is injured. How do we avoid keeping Lacazette up front isolated? Oh, that's a brilliant question for Josh, because he will have an answer.
So if this is against Liverpool, I'd be dropping Ozil into midfield as a part of a 3. Because we've got a problem there defensively anyway, and have some wingers, Alexis and probably Iwobi up there with Lacazette.
Iwobi against Liverpool?
Yeah.
Okay. Secret bin dipper?
Fine, I'll pay Welbeck instead, because Welbeck will track a man.
going to say you're fucking drunk,
previous
Josh.
question. I wouldn't let those pricks anywhere near it.
Can I be controversial?
Well, that's unlike you, Steve, but go ahead. You can try.
I'd drop Alexis.
What from?
I'd drop him.
A multi-story car park.
From your flat window.
No, but I mean, I would drop him. He's not playing well. He gives the ball away too much, and he always does it right where you don't want him when teams are breaking. Against them, if he does that 3 times, that'd be game over. I would drop him. That would stop him dropping deep into Ozil's space. I would play 3 in midfield, and I wouldn't play fucking Iwobi either. He's got to sort out the defensive side of his game, and also as well, can he stop this business of doing his Tina Turner stamping in shit fucking impression when he gets the fucking ball opposite a player? Looks like he's just like filled his pants with a fucking packet.
Didn't John send you a little picture that someone sent him today in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah. I'm your private dancer for money.
I did. I did retweet that.
Yeah, he's got a great big Tina syrup on, and whoever sent that in, fair play, because he does do it. No, but I would drop Alexis and put him on the bench, and I would use him as an impact sub. And when I brought him on as an impact sub, I would put him on up front.
Oh, it was Jimmy at NN_Gooner who did it.
Well, that's my shout out for later, isn't it? Cheers, Danny.
Oh, you can deal. He's American. He can't get enough of it. So I'm just going to give that a quick retweet from the pod account. Righto. So the next question is going to go back around at the beginning again with John. He says, this is from Noir Confidential. Shh, don't tell anyone. Having the choice of spending £30 million on either Johnny Evans or David Luiz, who would you prefer? That's a fake worse than bloody death, isn't it?
I already said on the radio that I would sign David Luiz, much to people's disgust. I noted in the chat box.
Could he play as a defensive midfield, do you think, for us?
I think he can play that, yeah. I think the big issue with David Luiz is having the right coach. You've seen how good he has been under Conte. Yes, Chelsea haven't been as great this season, but he's very good in the back three. He's very good at bringing the ball out. You can play that central role quite well. I think he can play defensive mid. I would be terrified seeing him under Arsene Wenger, but it would be funny for his last year anyway to see Wenger try and work out how to use David Luiz properly. I think that'd be hilarious. And also, he's a bit of an idiot sometimes, and when he wants to hurt someone, he does it properly. You know, when we get upset and very annoyed if someone nearly breaks someone's leg, like rightly you should do, because you don't want to see that football. That's disgraceful. Unless it's a player who's playing for us, maybe David Luiz, and he does it against Dele Alli. I'm just going to throw that out there. But yeah, I take him. The other thing about him being like 30 or nearly 30, I don't think that really matters as much anymore. Players can play for a hell of a lot longer now, and he seems perfectly fit to me. So I'd take him all day. Johnny Evans, I think 2 years ago, yeah, maybe would have been a decent squad player, but I'm not so sure now.
I just can't even believe that we're even debating Johnny Evans for £30 million. Like, have we all gone absolutely crazy?
It's the problem is because he's British, so he fills the quota. That's why his price is that high.
But I'm with you, John. I'd much rather have David Luiz. I think he's one of those players that could make things interesting.
And the other thing as well, he'd love the fans would very quickly learn to love him. Because he's a real character. He'd get on great with everyone in the dressing room.
He's as thick as fuck. There's videos of him celebrating Chelsea's whatever it was they won.
Hammered, wasn't he?
He's had a sniff of the barmaid's apron. He's fucking hammered. He's talking like he's some fucking character off the Magic Roundabout, Dylan. and he is. I mean, look. Sorry, there's a reason why Conte's not playing him. Stupidity and cuntery come to mind. He's cost Chelsea games, points. We've already got a fucking problem in midfield with Xhaka and the fucking missing pass and missing partner. And we've got a problem with Alexis Sanchez, who's got about as much positional discipline as a dose of diarrhea. And, you know, and you want to inject fucking David Luiz into that. Fucking...
I'd have him all day in our midfield over Coquelin and El Nene.
Look, I understand the frustration. We've got to go out and buy better players. I'd rather see Ainsley Maitland-Niles get a fucking game, to be honest, over those two. And on top of that, if I was Gazidis and Wenger came in my office and mentioned David Luiz, I'd just tell him to fuck off. I'd just, no, sorry, I'm not paying for it. No, but he's good player. No, fuck off. I'm not paying for it. Get out of my office immediately. Fuck off. You're getting sacked soon. Fuck off. Not paying for it.
He's incredibly weak mentally as well, and we've got enough players like that. If we got Johnny Evans, if that's the argument we're going to go for, mentally he's a lot stronger coming through a Fergie era Man United team than David Luiz ever has. Just look at him in the World Cup semi-final where, he has to try and make up for a mistake and his team ships 7 goals.
And then he ends up at the end blubbing his eyes out at Mesut Ozil's feet, making Mesut look like the god he is.
Yeah, we've got a problem with with players with a dodgy mentality. Get in Johnny Evans. At least we need a player of that kind of age anyway, because we've got a huge gap in the generation with our centre backs at the moment. So we've only really got Mustafi, who sits between kind of Koscielny and Monreal as the old kind of centre-backs and Mertesacker. And then you've got Holding and Chambers, who are too young at the moment to be playing first-team football. So we don't need someone in there like that.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think either of those two are the people I would want to pick or the choice.
I mean, from the question, that's we're talking about what STD would you prefer?
Yeah, that's it. But I mean, I think one of the biggest issues with centre-halves at our club is not just the centre halves, it's the system which they're playing and the people in front of them who don't do their fucking job properly, but that's another discussion.
All right, next question. Did we mention it all during when we're talking about the games for this the last few games we've covered, that since going to a 4 at the back we've kept 3 clean sheets in a row?
No, we haven't.
Oh, good. Leave that then. Don't bother. Next question from Nicky Wilson. This is for you, Steve. Has having too many Has having many injury-prone players in the squad over the years, in brackets, Rosicky, Diaby, RVP, Wilshere, Cazorla, Ramsey, cost Arsenal winning titles? And should a club as big as Arsenal be doing this? Oh, Nicky's always got a good question.
What does he? Can I clarify this? What does he mean? Actually keeping them?
I think he may, having so many injury-prone players, because most clubs will just get rid of them or have them put down.
No, most clubs don't. I mean, let's make it very clear. There's 3 sides to this. First of all, there definitely was a problem in Arsenal's training methods and the way that players were played continually without any thought of the stress on their bodies and impacts of injuries. There was a very telling comments by an ex-player who was talking about when he got injured and he got very, very... it was the kid that went to Liverpool, not Liverpool, Newcastle.
Isaac Hayden.
Yeah, Isaac Hayden. He was saying that he got very badly injured and the medical staff at Arsenal didn't pick that up. They tried to make him play again. His legs swelled up like a balloon. He nearly lost his career over it. That's changed. That's changed. You can see that the soft muscle injuries that we were suffering, far greater quantities than other teams, have stopped, and that's changed because of different training methods with fitness bloke. Darren, what's his name, the new director of performance, Burgess, that's coming, the new director of performance. That's all changing. But you are still going to get things like hamstring injuries, and Chelsea have had them as well, and so has Man United, so we're not alone in it. There's a legal side to this as well. When you employ a player, you sign a contract with them. And you can't just sack someone because they got sick. That would be like your wife walking into the office and going, "Hello, I'm pregnant," and the boss going, "Well, you can fuck off then." Sorry, it doesn't work like that. Footballers do have employees' rights, and if they're not an employee, they're a contractor or a hybrid between the two. They have a legal right in their contract. They still get paid when they're injured, and you can't just bin them off. You can, in certain circumstances. I think this happened with David Batty at Leeds. They claimed the insurance off of David Batty's transfer fee, and they basically retired him, ended his career because he was so severely injured. But you can't do that to players nowadays because the union wouldn't stand for it. And secondly, they might be able to go to a club at a lower level and recover and still play football and earn money. So it just doesn't work like that. And I think over the years, has it cost Arsenal trophies? Probably not really, to be honest. Has it cost Arsenal a lot of money? Yes. But put it this way, what would Arsenal look like if we started kicking out players that were injured? How would it look to players who wanted to come and sign for Arsenal? Not very good, would it?
Well, there you go. That's a comprehensive answer. Right, this one will go to everybody again. Just a quick yes or no from Tim, starting with Gimli. Don't jump in. Should Welbeck start ahead of Alexis tomorrow? He says he thinks they should. Gimli?
Yes.
Oh, John?
No.
Josh?
Yes.
Oh, Steve?
Yes.
I say fuck no. I wouldn't start either of them, both twats. Next question is going to go to... we've just had one. Steve did, so it's down to Josh again. Is it Josh?
Yeah,
John,
John. No, it's to John, because Steve was... Oh, it was to Josh. This is from Expat Guna. Okay. Question for each panelist on the show. What 2 positions would you favour strengthening in the January transfer window and the players you would bring in?
Did you say superstitions?
2 positions, he said.
It sounded like he said...
No, he didn't. No, he said 2 positions.
Yeah, there you go. Shut your face. In the transfer window, he says his choices would be Insigne... I've said that wrong. And Kubalay. I've said that right.
You said the first one right and the second one wrong.
Well, there you go. I was fucking halfway there. Josh, what 2 would you get?
I would look to bring someone in at right back because Debussy came out today and said he's going in January, or he wants to go in January. Yeah.
Where? Back to New York to do pizza? Debussy? No?
Perhaps. Probably back to Bordeaux, but he'll go at some point in January. So we need someone to actually push Hector properly. I can't think off the top of my head at the moment. Yeah, I can't think of who at the moment that we should be going for. But we do need a right back. And probably someone to replace Alexis if he's deciding to exit stage left. And I would bring in Javier Pastore, probably.
Bloody hell, that's not too bad. Steve, any idea what you'd have?
A right back thing I'm not worried about because I think Maitland-Niles can play there. And I think he should be given a chance there to push Hector. We need to look at the centre half. And I think that's Josh and I were just saying that we need someone to bridge the gap between the kids and the oldies to play with Mustafi. And the other thing is we need someone in the centre of park. We don't need strikers at the moment. We've got enough people to strike goals. What we've got a problem is with the balance of our midfield. And the fact is if Jack at the moment Touchwood doesn't, but if he got injured or Jack had got injured, we'd be sentenced to Coquelin and Elneny for 4 weeks. So that I would strengthen the middle of midfield with looking at somebody who can play in a 3 with either Xhaka and Jack or Xhaka and Ramsey, but you need that third person in there.
Gimli?
Van Dijk and Goretzka. Job done. Thank you very much. Move on.
John?
Yeah, I'd get a centre mid and I'd try and get a wide player. Not that we're fucking playing wide. Yeah, I mean, if you can get him, I don't know that we can. I do like the 2 suggestions. Who was it who sent the question?
That would have been Tim. No, not Tim. Yeah. No, Expat Guna.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, Insigne, I don't think you're going to get, sadly. But he'd be great. He's having a very good season for Napoli. Koulibaly as well, but he's centre-back now. He's not a midfielder anymore. But, yeah, I'd take either of them if they're available, but I want a centre-mid, someone who can put his foot on the ball and someone who's going to give us a bit of penetration up front.
My 2 would be my 2 favourite players on FIFA 18, which is Douglas Costa, and the other one is Stefan Leicester.
Do you score a lot of goals with
Stefan what?
Leicester. Leicester.
Liechtensteiner.
Bless you. Right. Do I score a lot of goals? Fuck yes, because I play every game on amateur. Get in there. 190 odd games I've played.
Do you really?
Well, I'm shit now. I play them all on semi-pro.
I'm bringing in a FIFA fucking discussion ban on this programme. It's for over 18s, not children. Get on with the discussion.
Here comes Mr. Brexit 2017.
Don't start him, Gimli, because he'll fucking turn you inside out with words and then we'll all be fucked.
I can't believe you play as amateur. That's terrible.
I don't. We'll talk about it later. Right, we've got 2 more questions. So one is going to go to John. Mm-hmm. It's for... Do you want one? Actually, no. Yeah, I'll give the good one to Josh. This is one from Marianne. This is a terrible question. What can Arsenal do to improve on the field in the transfer window? He's put window, but I should think he means transfer window, not looking out of a window, because they're always looking out of a window once they pull the blinds. John?
Do what I said, buy a midfielder and a forward.
There you
He's
go.
gonna do
Very.
some penetration. I tell you who they could go and buy. Go and buy Milivojevic-Savic from Lazio.
Bless you.
He's the white Paul Pogba, but better.
Oh, excellent. And a decent one for you, Josh, to end it all from Baba Boona. He says, when did Arsenal become a boring side to watch? ? And why did we become so boring ? Good luck with that.
Oh, I think we alluded to it earlier in the show with the fact that the teams we've been playing at the moment are so defensive, well drilled defensively, and we're not getting the runners at the moment that are required for our midfield to really pick them out, that we're getting quite boring to really look at. I think the fact that a lot of our players have gone very predictable with the way that they're playing as well. I think the only real spark of creativity we've really seen is probably from Jack Wilshere when he's come in, but that's because he offers something a little bit different rather than, changing his game, so to speak. Ozil started, I think, really pushing towards that, perhaps because contract negotiations are ongoing or done, depending on what person you listen to in the media or Twitter sphere. But I think overall it does come down to the teams that we have played don't really offer a lot of chances to us. And if they do, we've got to be really really clinical with them, which we've got a problem with at the moment. I think with the games we've got coming up, they're against teams who are a lot more open, aren't really a kind of more mid-table teams, or aren't managed by the likes of Sean Dyche and David Moyes, who's going to stick all of his men behind the ball and just try and get a 0-0 draw and hope for the best. I think against Liverpool, I can see us being a lot more open. We've got to play Chelsea as well, but 3 times in 21 days or something with the draw that's come out now. So I think with the bigger games that come up and against those teams who actually want to play football, then there's more of a chance of us looking a lot less boring and there being a bit more excitement to our play.
What a brilliant way to end the questions. Thank you very much, people, you cheeky monkeys. Gimli, let's do predictions, then shout-outs, as if we know what we're doing.
Let's do that then. So the only game this week is Liverpool at home, isn't it?
Yeah, tomorrow, 7:45 p.m, and it'll probably be on Sky Sports.
Something
Fucking hope
like
so.
That. Yes, it will be. So, Danny, we'll go to you for the scores first.
I reckon it's going to be 3-5 to them, and the Ox to score the first goal just to fuck everybody off, and then he's going to drop his pants and moon everybody in the clock end, just like one of our players did many years ago.
Did you see that video released by LFC TV? It was a young girl. I think she might have been in a hospital. There was Coutinho, Firmino, and Oxlade-Chamberlain there. They were basically asking her who they were, and she went, "Oh, you're Coutinho, you're Firmino." And then she turned to Oxlade-Chamberlain, and she turned around and she said, "Sorry, I don't know who you are." And he went, "No, not many people do."
Oh, no.
It could have been worse. She could have said, "Are you Kieran Gibbs?"
And then sent him off.
Heroes in a half show. Steve?
What have I got to do here?
The Liverpool game.
Oh shit!
Oh, he switched off, Danny. He switched off.
Enough. He's recharged.
No, it's not that. It's just
that's not in it.
I just cut the last 2-3 seasons. Every time we played them, we've made such cunts of ourselves. Neither team can fucking defend. I'm going to go for a 5-5 draw.
I went 5-3.
5-5 draw, and I don't think Oxlade-Chamberlain will drop his pants at the clock end like Sammy Nelson did.
That was it.
Sammy Nelson did it because he scored an own goal against in the derby, but then he scored the equaliser at the other end. That's because he was getting abused. That's why he dropped his pants.
That's why you're here, Steve, full of the knowledge.
And that's why there's a very great picture of him going into Highbury Marble Halls with Terry Neal laughing their heads off to get their disciplinary notice from the chairman and getting fines. No, I wouldn't boo Oxlade-Chamberlain. I might cheer Xhaka and Jack Wilshere for rota fouling him though. And I would suggest they might do it, but I'd suggest also that they might do the same to Mr. Salah as well. Put Mr. Kolasinac on, because hitting advertising boards at 60 mile an hour tends to make you not very keen on going down the wing very fast.
First scorer?
Probably Mo Salah, probably.
Lovely stuff. Josh?
I'm going to go 3-2 Arsenal. First goal scorer, Mesut Ozil.
Wonderful. John?
I'm going 5-2 to Liverpool. Sane, first goal scorer.
And I'm going 3-1 to Liverpool with Ozil as the first scorer. Right then, shout-outs, and we'll go back to front. John?
I've got two. Danny already said him earlier, but Jimmy, who is at NN_Gooner, really nice guy, does a lot about the MLS, but a big Gooner as well. And he sent me the great picture of Iwobi as Tina Turner, and I can never get the image out of him singing Private Dancer to me now. And the other one goes to a bloke some people might know, some might not. He's at Ryan Johnson. He's the scumbag who ruined Star Wars. So go and tweet him and tell him he's a fucking idiot.
Another Star Wars. Ugh.
He's the guy who wrote it, and he ruined it. He ruined my childhood. I'm not going to say, because some people who listen to this might not have seen the fucking. They might not have seen the film yet.
It's all right, John. I'm not going to ask.
It's just it's ruined, honestly.
Jesus.
Do feel for you. Meanwhile, Star Trek on the other hand is living long and prospering.
Fuck off!
Star Trek's a big pile of shit as well.
It's all shit.
It's wrong.
It's all shit. Josh, you're jazzy. Come and jazz up this podcast. With
jazz, not jizz.
No, that's
John's jobs.
Ah.
Well, I was going to go for something Star Wars related, but you've shot me
allowed.
there, so I'm going to
Why don't
go.
you shout something out with a Lego movie, you twat?
Yeah, the Star Wars
like
Lego.
The Lego movies, the bollocks.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
Lego Batman's pretty decent as well.
Fucking H Christ.
Anyway, I'm going to do a shout out to Adam Buxton because I was doing my top pods of the year earlier, and he's top of it. It's a really good non-football podcast, so he's not taking me.
Whoa! Beep! Back up! Fucking, we had this with Carl the other week. Secret family friend of Ian Wright, and now you, one of ABW, saying somebody else's podcast is better.
I can say it's better than ours. I couldn't vote for ours. Ours is the best.
Yeah, see, he saved himself at the last minute there.
Yeah,
yourself.
You know, you can't blow your own trumpet. I've tried.
Yes, you can.
I'm not flexible enough.
And if you like this podcast, give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, we're not going to get many thumbs up.
Oh.
Can I just
in fact, go on, Joe.
Call him Jeff.
Steve.
Can we stop using the phrase thumbs up? Because for us older members of the Arsenal fraternity,
is that one up the wrong one?
No, it's got a reference to Len Fairclough and a finger of fudge, and being Pincher being a nonce, and which we sang at Old Trafford as well. The finger of fudge is just enough to give the kids a treat. There's only one Len Fairclough, as sung by Arsenal at Man United. So yeah, thumbs up's out. I'm afraid you can't use that.
Okay.
So we've had nonces, Star Trek,
yeah,
Star Wars.
Well, at least my fucking intervention was for over 18s and not spotty Herberts with Clearasil playing with their game consoles and their lightsabers. Fuck.
In the words of Jeff, it's not real life. Get on with it.
Other football podcasts are available.
I can give you a sum if you want. I'll do some more shout outs.
Josh, did you give us your shout out? No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. You shot me down on it.
Adam Buxton.
Don't do fucking Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever fucking Trek Wars or whatever it is. Just fucking give us a person that's on Twitter and nice.
I did it already. At Adam Buxton.
Who I really don't like.
Well, so there's no shout out, is he, Danny?
Do you ever feel like you've shit out, Josh?
Yeah, I might go back to the radio show.
I think you might have fucking best off there and all. bringing your negativity to our podcast.
He's got the flip-flop merchant there. He's not going to get a fucking word in edgewise. He has to fucking send in emails to get himself heard.
He probably does. Steve, your shout-outs, please.
Right, I've got two, and then I've got something else. But first one goes to Mimi Guna, who's a massive Theo Walcott fan, and who's not going to probably appreciate my contribution about Theo earlier on. We have an internecine war over Theo. She expresses dying admiration of him, and I express dying wishes that he'd fuck off, and it usually ends up in abuse. But she's a very nice lady. Goes to all the games. Top fan, so give her a follow at Mimi Guna. The second one is my mate. I want to give him a shout out. He's a West Ham fan, He's also Poland's version of John Motson. He commentates on 11 Sports. His name's Martin Grzywacz, and you can find him at Grzywka, WHUFC. He's a West Ham fan. For all the Polish fans out there, GRZYWKA, WHUFC. Martin last night was commentating on the Chelsea game, and I know he was as sick as a parrot because he wanted to commentate on the Man United Bristol City game and he lost the toss with his colleague. But he had to actually as well commentate on Arsenal West Ham the night before, and he was well gutted. And I was getting absolute dog's abuse off of him while he was commentating on the match. So big shout out to him. And we've now got back to the adult part of the podcast, and John is going to update us a bit in a minute on his nefarious activities that don't involve computer games or Star Wars, but with birds from Essex.
Oh dear.
Sinister. Danny?
Mine's going to go to a bloke who I watch on YouTube called Justin Wang, W-H-A-N-G. Don't say it. Don't.
When he goes swimming, is he a wet wang?
See. Immediate racism, and I don't find it funny. You'd never catch me taking a piss out of someone's name. Anyway, Justin is at Hot Pikachu Sex, and he does YouTube videos.
He's what?
That's it. Hot Pikachu Sex. Fuck knows why he does it. But if you go to his Twitter, and you'll be able to go and see his YouTube stuff, and he's just generally ripping the shit out of all the politically correct, all the no, actually not the politically correct, that's not the right thing to say, all the twats on YouTube that are taking themselves far too importantly and poking holes in stuff. And he wears a wig and he's got a fake beard and he drinks muddy toilet water. And after Gimli says thank you much for listening, goodbye, I'm gonna shout quite loudly the way he ends all of his YouTube videos. So go and watch one of his videos, and I swear you will go, oh, this bloke's really funny. He's interesting as well. So go and have a look. Hot Pikachu Sex, people. That's where it's at.
Sometimes I think if you went out more, you'd possibly have a better class of friends.
I left the house on my birthday, actually. Yes, I did.
Gas leak?
No, I went out for food, but I did have a gas leak while I was out.
Oh, yeah, you fucking left the house to go out for food, people.
And that was 2.5 months ago that I last went out. But have you seen it out there? It's fucking knee deep in snow.
ABW exclusive. Fat man goes out for food.
I don't know. I'm going to get actually.
Said that you wanted a copy of Chaz's book. It wouldn't help you. As great as it is, it wouldn't help you.
Don't pick on me because of my inability to slide sideways.
I heard you were going to write a book. It's called.
Here we go. This will be good.
It is as well.
And I'm going to ring my mate Shazzy in a minute, and I'm going to order myself some food from Chili Bite in Huntingdon, people, for all of your food needs.
Running therapy through food. That's what it would be your book.
Don't pick on me, because when the weather gets better, I'll come out and get you. Oh, you live on a hill, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck them.
I'll do my shout out quickly. My first one is to Gav from the podcast, and he is at Shewar. He lost his granddad this week, so I just wanted him to know.
No.
Yeah.
That's the bloke who got him into football.
Yes.
Oh,
so
dear,
dementia, from what I make out, it's a horrible illness. My nan suffered with it. So I just wanted to let him know that ABW is with him. And secondly of all, I just wanted to thank you, everybody, for my birthday wishes on Sunday. I had so many tweets from people. And to be honest with you, I was drinking and smoking for most of the day. So I was in no fit state to respond. So now I'm in a better place. Granted, I'm still drinking rum. But I just wanted to thank everybody for their wishes. And that's it. So, yes, all that's left, really. Unless, we got to shout out the sticker thing, haven't we, quick?
We've had 3 entries, 3 of which were wrong, and the only 2 right entries were from ABW. What the fuck is going on, people?
I should say that Gav is not the answer.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, it is.
Okay. So if we tell people that's the answer, how many people do you think we're going to get tweeters with @Guna stickers and our and just say the answer is Gav? Because at the moment, we're going to be giving the prizes away to either people from the pod, which is highly illegal, or people that got it wrong. So somebody come and just fucking, there's the answer for you. It was Gav.
Hold it over Christmas and do it again after New Year.
We should.
We might have to.
We might just do that.
Oh, the last podcast of the season, Gimli, is going to be next Wednesday because we're playing Crystal Palace on the Thursday. And it is going to be Mr. Jason Davis, the Welsh Terrier. It is going to be OG from Canada. And the other one is going to be... Oh, fuck, I forgot who it was. That's terrible, isn't it? I can't remember. Somebody else. And I think, Gimli, as it's the last one of the year, do you think we should do it live on YouTube? I
think we should. I think we should do it completely live. I think the podcast is always better when we have live interaction and people calling us cunts. It's good.
It is. We'll have a little bit of abuse as we do it live.
Yes, we will. So the last one of the season will be live
like this
next Thursday. Yeah, we're waffling now, so I really should wrap it up, shouldn't I?
Remember, I'm going to end the podcast after you. I'm going to say how Justin ends his.
Oh, you're such a show-off.
I know. But he is good.
So all that's left then is to thank my wonderful panellists tonight, Josh, John and Steve. Danny, unfortunately, you had to be here.
And congratulations for making it like, 15, 20 pods in a row. You've not got the and missed any. Apart from your birthday, which was allowed. Oh, no, it wasn't your birthday, was it?
We didn't have to podcast on my birthday.
No, it was your mate's birthday you went out for dinner with.
Yeah.
Yes, so you've only missed one in fucking ages. So you'll do a strop any day now. If you could do it over Christmas, that'd be lovely.
Okay. I'll just have to find one of the panellists to fuck me off.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Davis, he's probably said something. He definitely has.
He's a contender, and he's got to be a contender. He'll probably say something racist, and I'll be up in arms about all homophobic.
Oh, shut up, you ginger minge.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, you've set him off now.
I can feel it coming on.
Oh.
Right, I'll end this before I get really angry. So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and Merry Christmas.
Ho, 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 cheeky monkeys, and here's a little bit of shenanigans from before the podcast started. I'll put my headphones on in a second. Where's Steve? Why isn't he there waiting? Where's John?
Oh, they boycotted us.
Hold on, I can't hear you. I don't know why I'm speaking. I'm just realigning myself.
It's like talking to a brick wall with you.
January we play our first leg of the Carabao.
Do we? I feel like I need a poo. I've only ever had one.
That's more like it.
Poo while podding.
Ho ho ho, you bitch.
Oh, there you are.
What do you want?
Well, it's a podcast with you, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Where's Stephen? Oh, you cunt. Fuck you.
What?
His phone got caught in the fucking door of my unit. So then I let go of my phone. It was swing and smashed to the floor.
You're just an object of viscosity. Can you hear this sound, Danny?
Oh, Chris has said, what is it? You touching yourself in the special place?
Oh, fuck. Shit, that's too much.
What are you drinking, you alcoholic shit?
Captain Morgan spiced rum. I'm spilling it!
Chris has said he's recording his another pod tonight. He says, depending on what time we finish, I'll see if I'm on Skype when you finish. You can dial me in for extras giggle if you like. That's nice of him.
Yeah?
Hold on.
So, what time's he recording his podcast?
Brexit in last.
Steve mentioned Brexit. It was an hour monologue.
Fuck, no. You know this is probably going to be gone by the end of the night. Happy birthday to me.
Oh, happy birthday. What did you do?
I went to my mother's and got battered.
You battered your mother on your birthday?
No, I got battered.
All these lovely people. We said this new bloke, Jamie Fitzgerald, a potato muncher, he had no followers. So now he's got 13.
Oh.
Oh, I forgot there's a question on my DMs from Nikki Wilson. No need to edit. Nikki always sends me decent questions. We've only got one game in, between now and the next pod.
Oh, we've got two to talk about tonight. Both fucking boring. Do you know, right? And I'm not going to admit it on the podcast.
No.
But the West Ham
game.
game.
Even watch it.
No, I didn't.
Because you're a shy talk.
No.
You are.
It's not for the. I couldn't watch it. I really just couldn't muster the energy. I sat there and played FIFA.
Nothing.
I know. I went onto Twitter afterwards. Obviously, I got the notifications for scores coming up and shit like that. Do you know, I had a stress-free night. It was nice. Otherwise, I'd have just...
you had a stroke.
No,
I had a stroke.
I'd have been
It was
sat
better
there.
than watching Arsenal.
I'd have been sat there about the 55th minute, absolutely bleeding from the bumhole, wondering why we haven't scored, and then going, manager's shit, get the manager going, that fucking Sanchez, fuck him off. But I didn't. I sat there, and I played FIFA. I enjoyed playing FIFA, and then when the game ended, I still played FIFA. Had
When
some
the
dinner,
fun
went to
stops,
bed.
do you stop?
No. Do you know what? Actually, I haven't had a bet in fucking months. Absolutely months.
John was having computer issues and he had to go to his backup PC.
Okay.
So there might be... Oh, no. Straight away, the call to John failed. Where's Steve? Why isn't he here? Steve said he might be a bit late because he's at Christmas.
Hello.
He said be home for 6. Right, Josh?
Oh, this isn't coming up my headset. But hello.
You do realise, though, Steve will be the one that is late and then go, right, come on, fucking get on with it.
Hello.
Look at that. That's a fucking pro for you. Doesn't even have to re-invite him. He invites himself.
Look at
like
that beard.
Like Gimli at the Sainsbury's Christmas do. Nobody invited him, but he turned up anyway.
No. I'm boycotting Sainsbury's.
Are you?
I don't like their Christmas advert because it's catchy.
Fucking cunts.
I was sat there on my birthday, the Christmas lights came on, and that Christmas advert came on, and I was going, Gimli's off his tits, like that on my birthday, because I was trashed.
Yeah, that's not big and clever. You're nearly 50.
32, actually. I am 32 as of Sunday.
Shut up.
Oh, now I can hear what's going on. That's better.
Good. You all right, John? Is your PC working all right, or are you on the backup?
No, I'm on the new one. I managed to get it working.
Your headset isn't set to headset.
I was on the fucking wrong cunning thing.
You stuck it in the wrong hole again, have you?
Hey, John.
I hate you when it
John,
happens.
how many big-breasted bed thrashers you rodded this week?
None, mate. I haven't had the time.
Have you not?
I'm very disappointed in myself.
Oh, I'm disappointed in you too. I expected you to at least rock up with a chlamydia story or something like that.
I can pull an old one out of the bag, I'm sure.
Oh, that's what we like.
You're talking about the ladies or the stories?
You can pull an old bag for us.
Audio, right, microphone. What? No, let me change the microphone, you mole.
Oh, right, okay.
Scott's
Um,
around.
That's your one leg.
I'm in so much pain.
Yeah. Gimli will come around and tickle it for you.
That's all right. At some point, I might sound like I'm high.
Where do you live, Josh?
Brighton.
Plenty of illegal tickling going on there.
Good-looking boy like me will definitely get bummed.
Only if you play your cards right.
Lovely.
Yeah, no, I'm full of
Come.
Zapain is what it's called, but it's just cocodamol.
Any better?
No. Still tinny.
The headset that you got me is broken, so I need to get a new one.
Fucking canty thing.
Speak of that, Bert.
Oh, just tell me what it is. How's this one sound? Anything?
It still just sounds a bit echoey. What are you using at the moment then?
I'm using what the fuck is this? A Cliptech BMH something or other. Fuck knows what that is. I don't know.
You sound like you're in a broom cupboard. I expect Andy Peters to come out and fucking sexually abuse you at any moment.
I mean, only if I'm lucky. Hang on.
So I was saying I had cocodamol the other day when I couldn't do the radio show, and now I've got shit for 2 days.
Suppository?
No, I voted Lib Dem.
Oh, fair enough.
Can't talk about that though.
No, can't talk about politics. We are a non-politics podcast.
Until Steve turns up and then refuses to go along with it. Until
fucking
fuck off.
I've almost pulled. Fuck's sake.
We can't have Steve say Brexit in the first 5 minutes because
you know he's gonna.
No,
if he does,
it's not working.
Offence.
What? Who's saying is it working? Is that you, John?
Hello.
Hello.
Right. No, that headset's totally dead.
That's
Yeah, you
3
sound like you're slightly
now
down
fucked.
Sound like you're down a well.
Yeah.
Fucking wanky Microsoft cunts.
Is that microphone any better than the other one?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, our
I'll just have
webcam
to-
has got a microphone on it.
Yeah, the HD 1080p ones, yeah.
Oh, fucking hell, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
We have ordered, bloody hell. How many sets?
I need to get a new headset anyway, so don't worry about it, Danny. I'll get myself one.
2, 3, 4, 5. Good, because you don't have any money. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 headsets we've ordered from my Amazon account, and plus there's probably a couple more. So we've got 2 that we can send back.
No. Tell a lie. We've got 3 we can send back because I've got one here.
No, I mean, there's 2 that are within the last year that I can send back. One from March, 23rd of March, and that was sent to Davis. His one is broke. And the other one was on the 15th of May, which was to Chris. There was only $16.99 then. Bloody hell. Sometimes these are 24 quid.
Is that the Microsoft one?
Yeah, it's fucking... They just keep breaking.
Yeah, mine's broken at the moment.
Yeah, Kate's broke as well.
So I had to order one earlier.
Because she does really want to come on the podcast.
Oh, she's not welcome. No women on here.
That NASA used pigeons to test out how humans would survive in zero gravity.
And how'd they get on?
They flapped about all over the place and didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. It's quite funny, the video. They did it with cats as well.
Shit everywhere, I bet.
Oh, there we go. That's what I need.
If you look up cats in zero gravity, Danny, in YouTube, it's really funny. You know when they do the thing in the plane where they make it dive bomb really quick to simulate it? They did it with cats to see like how their body would react because they've got really good balance. And the cats were fucked. They were just spinning around the air, freaking out. It's hilarious. You just see like these 2 or 3 like Air Force guys just like holding on in the plane, just laughing at these cats, just spinning them in the air. Look great fun.
Cat spinning.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fun game.
Hello people. You may well have noticed that we no longer have start music at the end of our podcast because the last time we did it a couple of weeks ago, YouTube decided that we had to show that we owned it. So we can't use it anymore. So then I did a little tweet and I said to people, if anybody wants to make us some music for the beginning of the pod, 15 seconds or less, let us know, send it in. So this is what Mike from Goons in the USA podcast made us. It's an absolute shambles and it's quite mean, but here it is, you decide. But we're not using it at the beginning, but I thought, well, if he's gone to the effort of doing it, then maybe we should put it at the end of a podcast. So enjoy!
Right here, right now, we're at Bergkamp Wonderland. We got 35 people on our podcast, even one who's American. We talk a bunch of bollocks for hours at a time. Stay tuned for Gimli and Danny. The sound quality is sublime. We hope you'll keep on listening and you like us all a bunch because we're the Bergkamp Wonderland podcast and we're a bunch of arsenal cunts, not including Gunnar Hollick, who's a respectable young man.